Hey guys, it's Faye from Solarflow and I am back with an all new video. Today's topic, Ask Me Anything. This is your guys' burning questions and my channeled information as the answers. So as always, there are timestamps down below and you are welcome to hop around and view as many or as few segments as you would like to. However, I am going to request in advance, if you are new here, especially if you are new here, but even if you are not, to please watch the housekeeping segment right here, right now. And this is because I am first and foremost going to share with you a little bit about the way the process of my channeling works, and also what you can expect from the segments here, and a reminder why, if you have asked me a question and why it has not appeared here, why that may in fact be. So, first, I'm going to take a moment to introduce myself to anybody that is new here. My name is Faye, and I am an energy reader. I do not ever research the topics I am asked to look into. The reason for that is, as an energy reader, I do not want my energy reading to be influenced by anything that is reported out on the 3D world. The reason for that is, that's not what we're doing here. Our primary purpose is to peel back the three-dimensional veil so we can explore what is in fact going on behind the veil. And what are the soul, spiritual, energetic, or vibrational components that are comprising the world that we see around us. Therefore, I do not research the topics that I am asked to look into. Can I sometimes get 3D information wrong? Yes, but that's not why you're here and that's not why I'm here. Because there's already great websites like Google and Wikipedia that share the 3D narrative. Not what we're here for. You guys are here for the goods that the guides bring, and I am here to share with you the goods that the guides bring. Now, in addition to that, I'm also going to say that because you're here for the goods that the guides bring and I'm here to share it with you, my videos are 98% channeled and 2% personal opinion. If I am sharing anything that is an opinion, I will state in advance, this is my personal opinion. My opinion does not influence the channeled information that is coming in. However, when I am sharing something with you, a little snark may come to the surface. That's because first and foremost, I'm not a fucking robot. I'm a person and I have opinions, and guess what? This is my channel and I can share them with you. But I will always share with you, this is 2% personal opinion, because the rest of it is very much channeled information. Now, lastly, I also just want to remind anybody that has asked a question and I have not answered it herein why that may be the case. That is because first and foremost, holy fucking hell, have you guys been keeping me busy. I have enough topics to look into for 3 more AMAs. So there's no possible way that I could have gotten to every single request that had come in. No way. So what I kind of did was I just allowed my mind to go over all of the requested topics, and whatever were the easiest ones that were coming in, those are the ones that I am sharing here. These are, if you will, the low-hanging fruit kind of topics. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to get to those other ones. They're still on the list, and I do keep a running tally that carries over from AMA to AMA. So please understand, if I have not answered your question, it's not for lack of want. It's for either lack of time or it's because they just were not wanting to connect. Now, that's going to bring me to my last point, which is also to share with you that because we are dealing with energy, everyone's energy comes in differently. So sometimes when I will connect to somebody's energy and I request to have consent, their consent to look into them, sometimes they'll say no. A few of them actually said no, and I shared them here as well, so you guys will know that I actually did make an effort to connect to some people, and they said no. If I don't get the go-ahead, I don't push it. I move the fuck on. It's like, imagine you get together with your friend and your friend's like, I just don't want to talk about that right now. Are you going to be a fucking asshole and be like, no, talk about it with me? No, it's your friend. Like, come on. So I don't push it. If someone's like, not today, I'm like, cool. And I got more than enough topics to look into to keep me busy, so I move the fuck on. But also, because of the fact that I'm asking consent, the degree in which I receive consent or do not receive consent is also going to influence the way the information comes in. Because sometimes people will give me carte blanche and they're like, as you will, go about, look into whatever the fuck you want to look into. Sometimes they'll be like giving me a limited scope, like, you can look into these things, but not these things. You can look into my energy, but not the energy of, around me or the people around me. And sometimes they're going to be like wanting to be a tour guide into their own life. They want to, if you will, take my hand and take me on a tour into their life and only show me specific things that they want me to see. So the energy very much will come in differently for that reason. And most of the times when you guys are asking me to look into something, you're not asking me like a specific thing about a person. You're just asking general, can you look into this person? So that's going to explain why the energy is going to come in differently for different people. With that in mind, let's dive in because we had a lot of hot topics to look into. So the first topic that I was asked to look into is the female rap movement and the over-proliferation of sexuality in it. Let's see what the guides had revealed to me. So, the female rap movement and over-proliferation of sexuality is just another agenda to chip away at the fabric of society, similar to the way in which gangster rap once did. Because it is not a coincidence when musicians will one day all start using a similar kind of lexicon when referring to women as tramps or hoes or anything of that nature. It was, in fact, a coordinated effort, just as this is. This is just the next generation of it. This is also the proof, if you will, or what they want us to believe is proof that what these rappers said were in fact true. Not like, we're going to show you the reality that we want you to see. It was more like, we're just reflecting reality back to you. Kind of like what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? So their claim is, we're just, even if they're not like coming out and they're saying it, by putting certain words and certain visual representations into videos, it's like, well, we're just reflecting what society already is. Now, this was also shown to me as having a particularly long gestational period. What's a gestational period? It's the period of growth, like, for example, when a woman is pregnant, that's her gestational period before she gives birth. So this had a particularly long gestational period, but those roosters have now come home to roost. And the seeds that they planted have begun to bear fruit, even if they are not pretty little flowers. But you know what they are? WAPs. What are WAPs? WAP is a terminology that was used in a song, and I don't remember who sang it, because again, I don't research my topics prior to sitting down and looking into them. You have Google for that if you want to know. But I'm not going to say what the P is for WAP. I'm only going to share with you WAP, W, wet, A, ass, P is a derogatory term for women's genitalia. WAPs. So a female rap singer had spoken about her WAP. And WAPs, in case you didn't know, are worth a lot of money. More than we can in fact imagine. Because what are all of those little performers? Here's a reveal. Why was she singing about WAPs? What are those little performers if not in fact prostitutes? Just not always of a sexual kind. Because what better way to chip away at the fabric of society than to show what women are willing to do to acquire material things. They will sing about being WAPs even if they don't have one and even if they aren't one. But they do it because they are in fact a prostitute. Even if it's not of a sexual kind, it sure the fuck is of an energetic kind. So they are doing this to show what women are willing to do just to acquire material things, and that they allow themselves to be used. They allow their likeness and their representation to be used until in fact maybe nothing like them. So whatever we see as a representation of a musical performer out on the world stage may not be anything close to what they are in fact actually like. So it may not be anything close to what they are like, but they have to do it because they are owned and operated. And also to show that even to those that do not know that they are owned and operated, that they do it because they're cheap. And because they are in fact, or what they want us to believe, they are in fact just reflecting society back to us, we are cheap. That's what they want us to believe. Because being cheap is all about the 3D material possessions, and it disconnects us from our divine feminine energy, which will then, because we are being disconnected, has us locked into a lower energetic state. However, what was also shared with me is, if one does still feel called to feast their eyes upon this, so to either watch the representation of how these women are being used, or to watch their music videos, or to watch the award shows, or to listen to their music, do this knowing it is akin to a car accident on the side of a road. We may see something gnarly, yes, but it is also human nature to do so. So don't beat yourself up if you do in fact find yourself doing so. So that is what I have for you on the female rap movement and the overproliferation of sexuality in it. Please do feel free to comment down below with any additional questions. Now, similar, however a little bit different, I was also asked to look into the so-called clean-cut artists in the music industry. And this is what was shown to me. Clean-cut artists in the music industry are, in fact, just a prototype. They are designed to appeal to some kind of demographic or percentage of the population. Because believe it or not, guess what? Not everybody wants their singers to be singing about WAPs. Shocking, I know. So, to that end, the industry will provide alternative options for us. However, it's all just an illusion. Because just like you have the singers that are singing about their WAPs and they appear to be one such kind of a way, they are also going to provide singers that appear to be cut from a different cloth. But the way that the clean-cut singers appear to be may in fact not be anything the way that they are. Just like the raunchy girls may not be raunchy, the clean-cut girls may not in fact be clean-cut. Because it's all an illusion. These people are playing a role. It's a character or it's a charade. It's just a different one designed to appeal to different people. And if you want to learn more about this, I have linked a previous AMA that I had done in the past with a segment on Simon Cowell, because he had shared that everything in the music industry that we don't see, what's really going on behind the veil, is it's a lot about numbers and demographics and population, and they just want to put forth onto the world stage as much variety as they can to appeal to as many different kind of like demographics as they can. Now, what was also shown to me is if in fact, just like I had a caveat at the end of the segment on the female rap artists and the overproliferation of sexuality, that if you feel called to listen to it or to view it, to know one thing about that, there is also a caveat in this case, which is that there is nothing so-called wrong with listening to everyday music, but we should take it for what it is and try not to get involved with the image of the singers or nor their personal lives as well, because it is just a representation of their so-called private lives. But it is not, in fact, real. Because they all follow some sort of a script. They are all owned, operated, agendized, and under some level of mind control. Or they have, in fact, literally sold their soul to the devil. Or they are having their energy siphoned off them. To learn more about that, there is a video link down below on the music industry. So basically anything that has to do with the music industry is super low vibe. If you're concerned that you're consuming super low vibe music, continue to stay in your own personal high vibration, and all of these pretend people will eventually fall away from our attention as they are no longer a vibrational match for us and where we are going. So that is what I have for you on the so-called clean-cut artists. Please do let me know if you have any further questions down below. Now I'm going to skip some pages because here's a video that I had done on David Icke. Excellent. And if you want information on my membership, it's linked down below. Here we go. So the next topic that I was asked to look into is actually a continuation of a previous topic that I have looked into in the past. So this is where I was asked to look into werewolves, and I have linked that original AMA down below. And someone had come back with a number of additional questions that they had wanted me to look into. So those were questions such as, are the werewolves that are on Earth human? Do they really shift at the time of a full moon? Do they interact with people? What is their purpose and meaning in being here? And what do they eat? So this is what I have for you. So werewolves. As previously discussed, they came through some sort of a portal in the Everglades, and they ended up mostly staying here. Now, what's a portal? A portal is something that occurs naturally in high vibration locations, such as Cairo, Egypt, the Bermuda Triangle, the Pacific Northwest, Las Vegas before it was the Las Vegas that we know today, when it was like nothing but pure desert. So in these untapped areas of nature that has not been converted to big, massive cities, there are naturally occurring portals. So you're not, for example, going to find a portal in New York City or London. They're way too overpopulated, and the elements there have been tampered with by modern day advances. But there are some locations that are either remote enough, even by today's standards, that you can still have a portal that is occurring there. That is very much what had happened, or what was shown to me when I looked into werewolves the first time, that there are portals in the Florida Everglades, and some werewolves had crossed through and ended up mostly staying there. So they had come through a portal in the Everglades and they had mostly stayed. When I had looked into them, some were in fact in werewolf form, but some were also in human form. Why is this the case? The ones that were shown to me as being in werewolf form were either the puppies, the newborn were souls, if you will, who have less control over their ability to shift. So they just might be in werewolf form until they're a little older and they can shift back, or maybe they just shift back and forth not necessarily at a full moon. But it was also shown to me that the older werewolves as well mostly stay in werewolf form and not in human form, because they find it easier on their body to age as a werewolf and not as a human. The ones that are in human form do in fact take very good care of the older ones. So kind of look at it like a multi-generational family where the younger kids are taking care of the older kids, just that the older generation is not necessarily in human form. They like to stay, or they have mostly stayed, living in the Everglades, and they live by the bayou, where they are mostly left alone and no one comes sniffing around or looking too deeply into them. So because when I was looking into them, there were some that were in werewolf form and some that were in human form. They do not only shift during the period of a full moon. They will feel more of like a calling to shift at the time of a full moon. It's kind of like an itch all over their body where they feel like they have to just shed their exterior and they have to go like running in the wild. And yeah, they do like to howl at the moon, but it's not the only time that they shift. Again, it's either the young ones or the old ones. They mostly do not interact with others, which is why they mostly chose to have stayed in the Everglades and specifically by the bayou, unless they have to go out to the grocery store. But they were also shown to me as being pretty self-contained. Now, in reference to the question of what purpose do they serve, I remind you they cross through some sort of a portal, so they don't necessarily belong here. So we may not necessarily understand them, and they may, in fact, sometimes feel a bit like a fish out of water. They crossed through and they just ended up kind of like staying here. So that's why another reason they mostly stick to themselves and they mostly stick with each other. Now, what was also shown to me is that they do not, and I underlined do not, they do not eat dog food when they are in wolf form. They mostly eat meats. When they are in their human form, they also mostly eat meats and protein, such as meat and chicken. However, they do not eat foods such as carbohydrates like pastas and grains because it is very, very rough on their delicate digestive systems, and that's why they will stick to lighter things, like lighter from their point of view, or what works for their digestive system. Meats and veggies, light servings of veggies and fruit, absolutely no fish. What was also shown to me is that they will not hurt humans, but they don't necessarily like being around us either, which is why they stay where they do and they live where they do. So that is what I have for you on the werewolves. Any additional questions, please do comment down below. I'm going to skip some more pages because this is a video I had done on Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox. Excellent, if I do say so myself, and if you have not seen it, I highly recommend going back and watching it. Okay, the next topic that I was asked to look into is an author by the name of J.K. Rowling. Now, J.K. Rowling is the author that had written the Harry Potter series, and she has lately found herself in some sort of a brouhaha because she has shared a very unpopular opinion, certainly by some perspectives and by today's standards, where she had suggested that there are in fact only two genders. So let's see what JK's energy wanted to share with me. She is a bit miffed at this quote, "Much ado about nothing business," end quote. And while she thinks fondly about Emma Watson and Daniel Radcliffe, she does also think they are entitled brats. Now, Emma Watson and Daniel Radcliffe were cast in the Harry Potter movies. Daniel played Harry, and I think Emma played a character by the name of Hermione. I don't know, I didn't read the books, and I've only, I think, seen portions of the first movie. So again, because I don't research the topics, I could be getting that wrong. I'm sure there are many of you that will correct me in the comments if I did get it wrong. So yes, again, JK thinks that they are entitled brats. Huh. But imagine if she said that out loud, she would be crucified. All in all, she feels that cancel culture is out of control. So while she first felt it imperative to speak up and to speak out, she now thinks it perhaps be more prudent to sit back, relax, and just enjoy her life. So that is what J.K. Rowling chose to share with me. Any additional questions, please do feel free to comment down below. The next person whose energy I was asked to look into is a former model by the name of Tyra Banks. Now, in addition to being a model, Tyra Banks was also the host of a modeling competition on TV called America's Next Top Model. And later on after that, she was also the host on her own TV talk show. So let's see what Tyra's energy wanted to share with me. Tyra Banks is forever grateful to the club. She achieved a level of success she didn't think possible, and she had a nice life because of it. She also shared with me she did not join the club as a model, but that was how she had first gained attention. Because she was pretty and slightly exotic looking and was seen as a bit of a specialty or a delicacy to very discerning clients. But these were not modeling clients. They were clients of a different kind. And don't you worry, she goes into it, but not just yet. She also had shared with me that some other models told her what the industry was really about. And they had shared this when she was trying to join, so she was not then therefore surprised nor shocked, and she had time to prepare herself. And perhaps a lesser girl would have balked at what had been revealed to her by the older girls in the industry, but not Tyra, because she had plans. She was ambitious, she was going places, and therefore she had no problem doing what was asked of her to get into other people's good graces. And it worked. Because not every man was a complete Lothario, not according to Tyra. And sometimes there was even pillow talk afterwards, in which she was asked what she wanted in this life, and because she had always known, she always shared it with them. And even though she's still alluding to what it is, in case you haven't gathered by now, by her disclosure of pillow talk, what's pillow talk? It's what you do after you have sexual relations with a person where you're just kind of like laying and lounging in bed and you're talking afterwards. See what she was referencing now? She was a specialty or a delicacy to a discerning client, but it wasn't a modeling client. And because she was amenable and she went along with whatever a John wanted or requested, she earned a good reputation and people were more likely to help her out. America's Next Top Model was not her ultimate goal. No. That was just a stepping stone to get her to where she wanted to go, which was having her own talk show. But even though America's Next Top Model was not her ultimate goal, it was fun and it paid her well, and it was nice to be not on the receiving end of subjectification for a change. But being a talk show host, that was it for her. And it made everything she had done prior worth it. So yes, she is, in fact, forever grateful to the club. And she does not care what anybody thinks about it or what the cost was. Okay, so she had to sleep with men? So fucking what? How many women sleep with countless men in a pursuit of love and get nothing in return? Maybe an STD, maybe a broken heart, maybe even a husband, but big fucking deal, according to Tyra. Do they get the ability to support themselves or live a life few would dream of? Because girls, you best raise your standard if a husband is all you want. Again, according to Tyra. This is not personal opinion. She also shared with me that spell casting is not a thing, but not as in it's not a real thing. Like she was being dismissive, like, that's just not even like a big thing to me. And this is, if you want to know more about this, I had shared this in the video I had done on the music industry, where a lot of the female performers, like singers, and in this case, she's even sharing some of the talk show hosts are performing spell casting on their audience. So she's saying, according to her spell casting, it's like not a thing. But again, not that it's real. She's dismissing it. Like she's brushing it aside like it was like a nothing burger to her, basically. So to her, it was like a nothing burger. Okay, so she had to say some words prior to going out and speaking to the audience, whatever. But thank God she did not have to open herself up, because the stories she heard about that were no fucking joke. So according to her, so good all around. That is what I have for you on Tyra Banks. Any additional questions, please do comment down below. Now, the next person whose energy I was asked to look into is another model as well. This one, a current model by the name of Winnie Harlow. Now, my understanding about Winnie Harlow is she has a skin condition called, I believe it is impetigo. And impetigo is where the melanin, or the degree of how dark somebody's skin appears to be, starts to change over time, and it will lighten up. So somebody that is impetigo might actually appear to have patches on their body of different colored skin. This is also the skin condition that Michael Jackson had claimed that he had, which was his way of explaining why his skin had become lighter and lighter and lighter over time. But whereas Michael Jackson didn't have the, like a lot of the impetigo, Winnie Harlow does. So she is a model, and she'll go out and you'll see, like, for example, parts of her face will have different colored skin, some lighter than others. And she also has that going on her body. So let's see what Winnie Harlow's energy wanted to share with me. Winnie Harlow doesn't quite know what to make of the industry. It is certainly not what she thought it would be, but then again, whatever is. Once anything becomes a job, it loses some of the luster, and modeling certainly has for her. She quickly adds, not that it's bad, not that it's all bad, not that it's even a little bit bad. It's just different. For one, at first she felt brave and like she was the first of her kind. Because there was so much platitude and nice words being directed at her, she felt meaningful and important. Because what were the platitudes? You're so brave. You're going out and you're showing that we can all be diverse and we can all be different and we're all beautiful, and you're not hiding the fact that you have impetigo. You're owning it. You're embracing it. So she really felt brave because of it. But now she just feels like she is being sent out for diversity purposes, and so casting agents can tick a box. Again, not that she's complaining, but still. She went from feeling brave to feeling like she's not seen. Not really seen for who she is, but just for how she looks. But again, she asks rhetorically, that's the industry as a whole, isn't it? And no one wants to sleep with her. It's all about Kaia Gerber. And who's Kaia Gerber? Kaia Gerber is the daughter of Cindy Crawford, who is now maybe 17 or 18, and she's been modeling since she's like 14. It's all about the Kaia Gerber right now. It's Kaia Gerber that they want, and why she is in fact the most in-demand moment at the moment, and why she is so well paid, and why she is being booked for so many campaigns. We're getting to it. Now, what is a campaign? It's not where, let's say, a model is booked for a one-day event, right? We're booking you from 9 to 5. You're going to be modeling for, I don't know, Levi's. But you're just one of many models that they're going to be booking, and they may or may not even end up using any of the images that you were in, but you still get paid because you still did a job. That's not what a campaign is. A campaign is where a model or a celebrity will be the face of a brand, such as Dior or Chanel, either for their clothing line or their perfume line. And you will be the exclusive face of that campaign, and any commercials or any prints for that particular campaign, it's only going to be you for however the period and the long of the contract is. So let's say it's a six-month period, a 6-month contract. You're the exclusive face of that brand for the next 6 months. So what Winnie Harlow is sharing, that the reason Kaia Gerber is so in demand and why she is so well paid and why she is in so many exclusive campaigns for brands is because that is all a reflection of what their going rate is to be booked by a John. Harkening back just a moment ago to what Tyra Banks had shared. So when the models of days of yore, such as for example, rather notably when Linda Evangelista had said she doesn't get out of bed for less than 10K a day, that wasn't modeling money she was talking about. That was a message to the potential Johns. Because Linda Evangelista had said back in like the early 1990s, she wasn't getting out of bed for less than 10K a day. I don't know, maybe 10K back in the early 1990s is considered to be like $40,000, $50,000 by today's standards. What day job is paying a model 40 or 50K for a day? No, because that's not what she was talking about. She was sending a message to the potential Johns that wanted to book her to entertain them sexually. Don't come calling me unless you are willing to pay me 10K per day. Because there ain't no motherfucking modeling gig back in the 90s that was paying 10K per day. She was sending a different message. And everyone loved her for that. Because she was then seen as exclusive because she was. Because there were not many Johns that were either willing to pay 10K a day or could afford 10K a day. So she was exclusive because of it. But Winnie? Not so much. Again, she really wanted me to know. Not that she was complaining, but still it stings. Because Winnie knows, well, she's a model, that's all she's ever really going to be in the industry. Just a model. A front or a cover for what the industry claims to be. Just a modeling industry. We have some, tall, pretty people. We're going to send them out for day shoots. Maybe they're going to be in a campaign, and then they're maybe going to do fashion, runway shows. They're just going to, show the way that clothing looks. They're going to sell you some things. That's it. So Winnie is only ever going to just be a model. She's going to be one of the ones that exist in front of the veil to reinforce what they want us to think it is, not to actually look behind the scenes at what it is, in fact, behind the veil. Which the modeling industry, behind the veil, is a high-paid prostitution ring. And Winnie asked me rhetorically, why then were there so many famous models on Jeffrey Epstein's island? And she wonders how more people have not yet caught on to that fact. And in the same vein, we thought the Victoria's Secret catalog was just selling us underwear. Eye roll. It was the tear sheet for the girls, their calling card, one could say. Now, what's a tear sheet? It's a kind of like a model's resume that their agent will send out to other jobs that perhaps are looking for somebody that looks like that particular model, or if they're being considered for a campaign, they kind of like send over their resume. But it's not, because the modeling industry is all visual, it's not necessarily like saying the way our resume would look, like what our qualification is. It's going to actually be showing pictures of a model to ostensibly be showing what they're, how diverse they are, or how they can transform, or how they look for this campaign, or whatever it is, right? So our understanding in front of the veil is the tier sheet is kind of like the resume that's being sent out. But according to Winnie, things like the Victoria's Secret catalog, that was also their resume. But because they were scantily clad and they were in lingerie, it wasn't to show their diversity as a model, it was their resume or their calling card to a potential John that wanted to book them. But not Winnie. She is a front of the veil kind of a girl, right? Because just like the modeling industry actually does in fact have models that are only modeling, that's to reinforce the veil. That's to reinforce the matrix. And any industry that has a behind the veil component also has a front or cover. Because the Hollywood industry, yeah, sure, they do produce movies. That's not all they do. So they're gonna have some of the A-list, there goes one of my crystals. They're gonna have some models that are, they're gonna actually have some actresses that are only, let's say, actresses. Maybe they're not gonna go very far with their career, but they serve a purpose because they're reinforcing our understanding of what the movie industry is. Same thing with like the FBI and the CIA. They're gonna have some agents that are just doing like the grunt work, the front of the veil, the cover for what their purpose is, but that's not all they do. So Winnie is acknowledging she knows about all of these things. She's just never going to be part of those things. She's the cover. And again, she really wanted me to drive the point home. Not that she's complaining. She's not a sexy girl. She's not going to be a sexy girl in the modeling industry. And that serves her just fine. Because she had revealed she is in fact a bit of a cold fish sexually. And she knows that about herself. And is grateful then, therefore, she's not going to be a sexy girl that's doing the behind the veil kind of a things. She knows it, and now she guesses that we do too. That is what I have for you on Winnie Harlow. Any questions, please do feel free to ask. The next topic I was asked to look into is a former actress by the name of Jessica Alba. Now, Jessica Alba also is I believe they say she is the founder of a company called Honest Co., which makes like, so-called natural kids products, diapers, juices, snacks, body washes, lotions, things of that nature. So let's see what Jessica's energy wanted to share with me. Jessica Alba is a really, 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 did you get how really glad she is that she got out of Hollywood when she did? Because bad things can happen to young kids even when they're in the club. Because Jessica Alba's family is in the club. And had she had stayed in it any longer than she did, bad things could have happened to her as well. She got put in, she was inserted into the Hollywood industry because her family is a club family. She got some recognition and then she got out. And then she got to do some other things as well. But no, for anyone that was wondering, Honest was not her brainchild. It was in fact dreamed up long ago by somebody else, and they just needed a clean-cut, relatable kind of girl to be the figurehead of it. And she's okay with it because she gets paid well, she gets to be a girl boss of some kind, and she gets to have a nice life. So she too is mostly grateful for the club. At least the club as a whole. But maybe not so much the Hollywood division of the club, because what she just revealed to me next is a little bit gnarly. Fair warning in advance, if you don't want to see it, I would suggest that you skip ahead to the next segment. Do not stick around for the next thing that she had shared with me. It's a little bit gnarly, okay? You have been forewarned. But she had said, while she is mostly grateful to the club, not so much the Hollywood division of the club, because she really could have done without having her anus fingered so many times. And that is what I have for you on Jessica Alba. Any additional questions, please do feel free to comment down below. Now, the next topic I was asked to look into is an actress by the name of Kristen Stewart. Now, Kristen Stewart, for anybody that has been living under a rock for the last 20 years or so, really rose to fame, massive, like stratosphere level of fame, when she was cast in the Twilight series alongside Robert Pattinson. So let's see what Kristen Stewart's energy wanted to share with me. And those are, of course, not the only movies that she had done. It's just to say that those were the films that really projectiled her onto the world stage. So Kristen Stewart shared with me that she is tired. She is just so fucking tired. It's gotten better. She's gotten better at employing boundaries, and despite what she's been told about her image and how she is so-called fucking it up, she doesn't care. She hated being a glamour puss. She was made to wear frilly fucking shit and having her hair and makeup done, and that was never her. But she was too young to know yet who she was or that it was okay to say no. Not that anyone, in fact, would have listened, but she could have tried. But now, no one is listening to it. And it feels good to say it and to have it, in fact, be listened to. So she's saying she experienced some sort of an energetic glow up now that she's older, in which she's not being told what her image has to be. Because when she was younger, these are her words, not mine. She was made to wear frilly fucking shit and to have her hair and makeup done. And if you see pictures of her today, she looks rather different. She cut her hair, she is dressing a lot more edgy, she maybe doesn't look quite as glamorous, and she's saying, it feels good. Of course, it helps that she's older and that the insanity of Twilight is behind her. Because she was not, and I underlined not, she was not her own person then, but a controlled, wounded, and broken doll doing her part, paying her dues, so she could finally have the life she wants to have and dress the way she wants to dress. And she can love who she wants to love, and that's all she wants. Because I think she recently I don't even know if she came out or she just is now dating a woman. So I don't know if it was like, those, everyone now has like a formal press release, they're coming out. I don't know if she ever like officially came out or she's just dating a woman now. So she's saying she's now free to be who she wants to be, love who she wants to love, and that's all she ever actually wanted. And thank God. She looks back at the insanity around filming Twilight, and while she knows it wasn't her the fans were there for, but for Robert Pattinson, it was hard not to get swept up in it and to feel the anxiety of it and to want to just get away from all of it. It was never, it was really, here we go. It was really the glue that brought her and Rob together. A shared experience unlike any other, but she started to hate how it defined her. How she got lost in it and felt that she was somehow playing into somebody else's hand. But that's all behind her now, mostly. And while she never thought she would be grateful for growing up and growing older, in this case, She certainly is. So that is what I have for you on Kristen Stewart. Any additional questions, please do comment down below. Now, the next person I was asked to look into is a male actor by the name of Zack Efron. Now, Zack Efron, his face certainly appears to be looking a little bit different these days. So let's see what his energy wanted to share with me. Yeah. He knows he fucked up his face. But if any of us lived the life he had, maybe we'd understand why he fucked his face up. No, it was not an accident, not entirely intentional either, but he is in fact very happy with the results because he had wanted to look like someone else, because he hoped that if he did, they would perhaps leave him alone. See where we're going with this? And I think, in fact, Zac Efron might have been a child star. That tells us a lot of what we need to know about him, right? So, he wanted to be left alone. And did it work? Absolutely. How would any of us like to be on a calling card for a good time? Because that's what he was known for. He was so over it. True, he admits he liked to party. True, he swung both ways. True, he had a voracious sexual appetite and could most definitely be a freak in the sheets. But for how many years? So he wanted a change of pace, a change of lifestyle, and a new face to go with it. So while the rest of the world will say he fucked up his face, to him it was part of his reinvention, and he is thrilled with the outcome. And that is what I have for you on Zac Efron. Any additional questions, please do comment down below. Now, the next actress I was asked to look into is an actress by the name of, and I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce it correctly, I will try my hardest, Lupita Nyongo. Now, Lupita Nyongo won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for a role that she had in a movie, I believe, called 7 Years a Slave. Something like that. Again, guys, I don't research my topics, friendly reminder. I'm just going off of my memory, which is subject to be incorrect because I don't keep up with any of these things. Let's see what Lupita's energy wanted to share with me. No Matrix police here. Lately, I've been having the Matrix police barking down my throat over here on how I'm getting facts wrong. It's like, calm the fuck down, guys. Do people not actually read like what a station is about? Like, there's so many other content creators you can go talk to about like the 3D facts. Please, not here. Lupita Nyongo has something in her DNA the club wanted. Not just her DNA, but some of her gifts and abilities as well. Because she is rather powerful and magical due to her ancestry. And I think she has a powerful medicine man or healer or even a shaman in her ancestral lineage. And it shines and sparkles in her, and they wanted it. But Lupita has a gentle and delicate soul, and if the intentions were made too clear too soon, she would back out and run. So, no one was telling her what the club was about early on. Instead, she was treated with respect, and everything was on the up and up. So if you will, she was living in a version of Hollywood that was the cover version of Hollywood. So she saw Hollywood the way normies perhaps do, the front, the cover, that it's an acting industry and nothing more. So she didn't think anything was amiss. She acted in a movie, and despite having, what did I write here? She acted in a movie, and despite having something, there goes another crystal. Here we go. Despite having hardly any time on screen, she was nominated for an Academy Award. And she was floored. She was like, I thought it was so hard to break into the industry. I thought I was going to have to work years at this to get nominated. And it's like, what? So the plan was to have her win so she would have a taste of success. Kind of like love bombing a victim of a narcissist. So while she was thinking this was going to take her forever to break in, it's like they unrolled the red carpet just for her. And she was the darling and was told she would have a long and illustrious and fabulous career, including one day being an Academy Award winner, or even 2 for Best Actress. Because that's what all of them apparently really want. They don't want to be the supporting actress winner, they want to be the Best Actress winner. And because the nomination came so fast, it kind of actually, in fact, ruined the experience for her. Because she had been told over and over and over again how hard it is to break into the industry, and she had to be mentally prepare herself for that. But instead, she was quickly nominated and treated like a little darling. And it did not match her expectations or the way she thought it would be. And while she had no idea how or why it had been so easy, not yet anyway, she kind of went through the motions without having had any real enthusiasm behind it. She did, however, share with me that she enjoyed the fashion and dressing up for the award shows. But then she won, and she was the toast of the town, and suddenly everyone wanted to talk to her, to work with her, to feature in magazines, and it was nice, if not a little overwhelming. But then came the comments. But they weren't overt. Just more like, you don't get a something for a nothing, and girl, you got a hell of a something, so we expect something in return. And she thought the comments were innuendos for sex. Because she had heard about the casting couch, but she had herself never in fact experienced it. And she thought it was rather stupid of them to give her an Academy Award before they got anything from her. Again, her just thinking it was sex. Because now they certainly weren't going to take it away from her. And she wasn't going to give it back either. But then she had a meeting with a director who did not speak in innuendos and told her exactly what they wanted from her and what her contribution would be. What was the something they wanted in return for the something they gave her? And the director seemed nice, but was very direct and even said he knew that must have been a lot for her to take in. So go home, sleep on it, and think about it. He did not apply any pressure to her. He had only stated that joining the club would open up a lot of doors for her. A lot. To whatever she wanted. In the future, her own production company, having a passion project made, becoming a director, whatever it was. She wouldn't always just have to be an actress, unless that was, of course, what she wanted. But she was reminded the club takes care of their own, and once she joined, they would take care of her as well. So she went home in a daze, and days went by, but she didn't seem to see the sun or even taste food. She didn't answer calls either, not for days, not until people started showing up to check in on her. But she was like a ghost, living but not alive. She looked at her Academy Award and she realized none of it was real. Not the industry or that she had won it because of her own actual acting merits, and it felt sullied. She felt sullied. But if she already felt sullied, did it matter if she became a little bit more sullied? She declined to say to me. But if you want to know, look at the body of work she has done since then, and that tells us everything we may in fact need to know. So did her career end with this role that she won the Academy Award for? Or did she go on continue to have a career maybe in TV, maybe in film? Has she contributed to the industry in some other way and have won awards for it? Because that will tell us all we need to know. So that is what I have for you on Lupita Nyongo. Any additional questions, please do feel free to comment down below. Now, the next person whose energy I was asked to look into is a singer by the name of John Mayer. And the only song of his that I can think of off the top of my head, certainly not that it's the only song he's known for, the only one I can think of is Your Body is a Wonderland. So let's see what John Mayer's energy wanted to share with me. John Mayer really is a Lothario, but a low-key one. He really milked the whole brooding, wounded, but oh so talented musician thing as long and as far as he could. And sometimes even he could not believe how girls would fall for it. Shush, stomach. Especially when he wasn't trying and they would start to come onto him, throw themselves at him, throw their bras and panties at him. Not like if he's walking down the street. Like if he was at a show, they would like throw their personal objects at him. Somewhere along the line, things shifted and it went from musicians taking advantage of their status to get laid to girls taking advantage of the musicians to brag to their friends who they got laid with. Not that he's complaining, because he still got laid, but it was a rather weird feeling to be on the other side of it, and to have the energy siphoned off of him versus vice versa. But man, these fans and these groupies could be relentless, and at times he really needed a break. At least little John did. And yes, because everyone always wants to know, what he had said about Jessica Simpson was true. He had done an interview in which he had said Jessica Simpson was sexual napalm for him. Jessica really was like sexual napalm. She was by far the wildest woman he had ever been with, open and down for everything and anything, and he had tried things with her he had never done with anyone else. 2% personal opinion, he's oversharing. And no matter how not in the mood he said he was or thought he was, one look from her and he'd be jumping her bones. Too bad he's deep down a Lothario. And outside of sex, they were not built to last, because she was fun, but according to him, also a little stupid. And in time, he knew he wouldn't have treated her right. So he is, in fact, happy. She has moved on. And she has her own happiness, because that is something she would not have found with him. That is what I have for you on John Mayer. Any questions, please do comment down below. Now, the next person whose energy I was asked to look into is an actress by the name of Anna Faris. Cannot for the life of me remember what she's been in. She, I think, has been in some movies. I think she's been in TV. I don't really fucking know. Let's see what Anna Faris's energy wanted to share with me. Anna Faris feels the industry found her wounds and picked at it like it was a scab. She thought she had found her happily ever after. They broke it up. No matter that she had a kid, and she had plans on having a life together with her husband, no matter that they really loved one another, no matter anything, because what they say you do, no questions asked. Now, this is where I'm just going to pause what she is sharing to state, I think she was married to an actress by the name of Chris. I want to say Pine, I could be mistaken. Now, what is she also saying here? That this is something that has been shown to me in other videos as well, that I have other channeling sessions that turned into videos. One is most notably the video that I had done on the Hollywood industry. Really should be considered essential viewing if you want to watch videos on this channel, because it answers so many questions you may have if you're new, if you're watching this. Don't worry, I gotcha, I made it easy, I linked it down below. But what was revealed to me in that channeling session is that you, low actor, are a pawn on a chessboard. They will put you into fomances, fake romances, fake romances with another actor if they think it's going to be good for your image or your representation, or they'll break up the relationship that you're in and they'll put you together with somebody else. They can do whatever the fuck they want. They can do it if they think putting you with somebody else is going to be, help sell magazines, or if it's going to be good for your image or your representation, even if you don't fucking even like that person. And because they are the gatekeepers of success, what they say, you do. Now, because we were just talking a moment ago about Jessica Simpson, she had also shared this with me when I had looked into her energy in the past. I have linked that AMA down below if you want to go back and watch that segment on Jessica Simpson. Rather insightful, I would say. So yes, Anna had shared, despite the fact that she had a kid with her husband, despite the fact that they plan on having a life together, despite the fact that they loved each other, no matter what, no matter anything, because what they say you do, no questions asked. But if she was honest, she saw the cracks appearing in her relationship with Chris even prior to then. So maybe the club had in fact done them a favor by ending it, so that way she couldn't end up blaming Chris and regretting it. He, Chris, also so desperately wanted to join the club, i.e. the industry. She saw him spinning his wheels on how to, because she had a career and he would ask her, why couldn't she pull strings to get him noticed? And she always explained gently it didn't work that way, and not that she knew anyway how it did work, because she wasn't very high up, and therefore she had been allowed to marry for love. And there was love, genuine love. But as Chris lost weight and bulked up and started to become a hunk, she knew, she just knew it was only a matter of time until they were done. Because they couldn't have Chris's image saddled with him being a family man and with her. And it was brutal. And it was like having teeth pulled without Novocaine. To have her family and her life pulled apart. So she's slowly been picking up the pieces and trying to put her life back together again, but it burns. It seriously still burns. That is what I have for you on Anna Faris. Any additional questions, please do feel free to comment down below. Now, the next person whose energy I was asked to look into, as I shift in my forever uncomfortable chair, is a singer by the name of David Bowie. Let's see what David's energy wanted to share with me. David Bowie was out of this world. Not just as a performer, but he was literally from out of this world. Not as in a starseed, but an actual alien or extraterrestrial. Not that he was the first, not that he'll be the last, because other people have already been here breeding with us, but that's for population diversification And because some of their planets are not faring well, in fact, even worse than Earth. So en masse, entire populations have started to split off and habitat other planets, Earth being one of them. It's to give those people at least some chance of survival. Then he stopped himself and he said, people. Ha. Old habit, he supposes. It was deeply ingrained to use that word. So he barely even notices when he uses it that it's not correct. Because they're not people, they're extraterrestrials. And yes, for those that want to know, Iman, his wife, is one of them as well. But she's from another planet. And anytime there is a someone that looks otherworldly in some way, it's because they are. Now, this may not be someone that looks otherworldly because they're in the Hollywood club and their face and their body is being altered to the point of barely being recognizable. It's actually the people that you're going to encounter out and about in your day-to-day life that just look otherworldly in some way. It's because they in fact are. And according to David, it's okay if we don't want to think that David and Imam looked otherworldly. It doesn't change the fact that they were or are, because she's still alive. And David was proud of it. So imagine being an immigrant from another country, but not being ashamed of your immigrant status, but proud of the country you had come from and celebrating it. So he's rather proud of the fact that he was in fact an extraterrestrial. So it was like that for David, but because he couldn't publicly announce it, he chose to express that through other means, such as the movie roles that he was in. And he's been in, what was that movie? Labyrinth, I think? Guys, come on. If you haven't seen Labyrinth, go back and watch it. That's like a 80s classic at this point. So the movie roles that he was in, the music, etc. By the way, I think he also played in one of my favorite movies of all time. It's a movie called, I think it's called The Prestige. And he played Nikola Tesla in it. I think it's called The Prestige. I always get that confused with one of my other favorite movies. They're both about magicians and magic. I think it's called The Prestige. Go to IMDb, look him up. He played Nikola Tesla. He played very interesting characters. Not coincidental. He did it so he could express that he was different through other means, i.e. movie roles, music, etc. And that the tell was always there, and all we had to do was look. But yes, he knows. We've been asleep and blanketed in mind oppression. So he asks me at this point, are we free yet? He would like to know. Because he doesn't come around Earth so much anymore. So what can I tell him of it? So I say that we are great, we are waking up and we are ascending, and he claps his hands rather dramatically, and he says, it's about damn time. So that is what I have for you on David Bowie. Any questions, please do comment down below. Now, the next person I was asked to look into is an actress by the name of Dakota Johnson. Let's see what her energy wanted to share with me. Let me learn how to talk first. Dakota Johnson she's had some roles. She's not like a nobody, one could say. I think her most notable role, she played, I forget the character's name, Anastasia, I almost want to say, Anastasia, something like that, in the movie adaptation of the book titled 50 Shades of Grey. Again, for the Matrix police, I'm not saying that's her only role. I'm just saying that to me and my memory and my recollection, that's her most notable one. She is also in a movie that I see billboards out for all over town right now called like Madam Web or something like that. No idea what it's about. Let's see. Oh, and in addition to that, Dakota Johnson is the daughter of Melanie Griffith and Don Johnson. Let's see what Dakota's energy wanted to share with me. Dakota Johnson winked at me when I asked if she wanted to speak with me. And there is a saucy, seductive energy about her, and she oozed with sex appeal, which I commented to her seemed rather strange because it does not translate to photos of her, at least not to me. And since I'm the one that's sharing this, that's why I'm saying it. If you find her to be incredibly sexy, that's the way her energy is experienced by you, not to me. She says she knows because she can actually turn it on or turn it off, and she chooses to mostly keep it off except when she really wants or needs a particular role. No, it is not something her mom taught her, because at her own words, at Dakota's words, her mom is perfectly nice, if not a little dumb. But not Dakota. Dakota says she has wits and charms in spades. And despite her mother's warning of what the industry was like, Dakota knew she wanted to be in it. She loves the glitz and the glamour, and even if it's fake and pretend, she gets to feel like a real-world Cinderella come to life, if only for a few hours. And who wouldn't want that? She loved watching her mom get ready for events when growing up and she just knew that it was for her. She is very clearly someone that would love the club no matter what. So I check in and I see if she does, and she says, quote, absolutely. Yes, she understands not everyone can handle the heat, so they get out of the proverbial kitchen. But for those that want a unique and different kind of life, it's a dream, according to her. She gets to work with all sorts of interesting people and to bring stories to life. She gets to travel for work, wear nice things, and be made to look pretty. All it costs is a tiny part of her soul because she's in the club. And she says it's like giving blood. You give it, but then your body just regenerates it and you're healthier for it. Same thing here. She gives a little, but she gets so much back when she films a movie. So I ask how? How is this exactly like when you give blood and your body regenerates more blood? How are you getting regenerated when you are filming a movie? And she said to me, channeling. I was like, okay. So she raised her eyebrows at me and she asks, surely I know I'm not the only one. So I tell her, no, of course I know I'm not the only one, but I don't channel for personal gain. But it sounds like she does. And how? Is it to enhance her performance? So she just shrugged at me as if to dismiss the question that I had asked her. So I asked her if she channels when she's not filming, and she says, not unless she's bored. I mean, way to go, girl, putting down my line of work here, but okay. So she doesn't do it unless she's bored. She's not into the mysteries of the universe and all that jazz. She's a little bit more salt of the earth kind of a girl who happens to be gifted. But that's not her profession or her goals. She will keep making movies even once she gets old and gray because there's magic in it, and that's why she loves it. So that is what I have for you on Dakota Johnson. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next person whose energy I was asked to look into is an actress by the name of Zoe Saldana, who the only role I can think of that she was in is Avatar. This is an incredibly short segment, but this is what Zoe's energy shared with me. When I had attempted to make contact, she just shook her head at me and she says there's no time to chat. She's got so much going on, personally and professionally, so she waves me off and says maybe another time. But I looked into her, and that's what she shared, and that's why she's here. That is what I have for you on Zoe Saldana. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next person whose energy I was asked to look into is an actor by the name of Timothée Chalamet. I probably just butchered it. I think it's the American way of saying it would be Timothy, but I think he had parents of French descent, so they named him Timothée Chalamet. Let's see what his energy wanted to share with me. But before I do, he is in a bunch of movies. He's really having his comeuppance in the career. And he was in the first Dune movie and the second one, which just came out, and he's in a bunch of other things as well. So let's see what Timothy's energy wanted to share with me. Timothy is so happy he grew up in the club because he loves making movies. Loves making movies. But he loves it for the craft, and he loves it for the character development and bringing forth different facets of himself to play a role. He loves the world building, simply loves all of it. But whereas Dakota Johnson was airy-fairy about it, Timothy is much more grounded. He does not see the magic in it, except when the film is done, because he is so much a part of it. And he loves to see what the director sees, and he loves to see what the cinematographers see. So because he is so much more a part of it and the creation of it, he doesn't necessarily see the magic in it the way Dakota does. So he does not just show up for his scenes and leaves. So it is a lot less magical for him because he sees all the different facets that go into it. He does this because he loves it, but also because he's got big dreams for himself. Actor, yes, but one day he would like to have his own production company and make films. He would like to find the truly great screenplays and scripts and bring them to life, because that would feel like magic to him. So while the process of creating movies is a lot of work, it's a lot of rewarding work, which is why he mostly stays out of the spotlight and keeps his private life private, because he really needs to recover between making films. So I asked him, no channeling for you? And he says, nah. He respects Dakota as an actress, but what she does feels like a shortcut to actual character development and to the actual acting. He rather likes to learn something about himself that he can then bring to the screen, and he feels that creates a long-lasting impact and creates a truly great film. And while he knows he's young, I think he's like in his mid-20s, he can't wait to get a little older, as he knows his acting will really take off then. Now, it's at this point that I asked him about Armie Hammer, because somebody had asked me if there's any truth to the allegations or stories out there that Timothy and Armie Hammer have done some shit together. So I asked him about Armie Hammer, and he had said, so I asked him about Armie Hammer and if there's any truth to the rumors, and he just smiled at me. He says, sure, he knows Armie, and sure, he did some silly things when he was younger, but he didn't do them with Armie. So I think that's going to put to rest the rumors. Or he could also be concealing it from me, but this is what he's choosing to share with me. He did some silly things according to him, they just weren't done with Armie. And that he is just focused on learning as much as he can and being the best actor and character developer he can be. And so to expect great things from him because he expects no less from himself. Now, that is what I have for you on Timothée Chalamet. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next person whose energy I was asked to look into is an actor by the name of Russel Crow. And again, for the Matrix Police, this is not his only role. He's been in ample, but the one that I most remember, I'm just going to stop telling you what I remember them for. You guys, if you're requesting these people and they're a household name, you know who they are. I don't even have to tell you anymore. He's the last one I'm going to tell you. He was in, what was that movie? He played a gladiator. That was the name of it, Gladiator. Okay. Let's see what Russel's energy wanted to share with me. Russel Crow nurses an energetic glass of whiskey. He pats his beer belly and says, no one's interested in him. What did I write here? He's nursing an energetic glass of whiskey, pats his belly and says, no one's interested in him, as he is a has-been. So I asked why he's a has-been or why he self-identifies as one. Real life over here, guys. Can't do anything about the noise outside. So I asked him why he's a has-been or why he self-identifies as one. He says his demons. He had lots and lots and lots of demons and could really only pull himself out of his own way for short periods of time. And he wants his wife, now his ex-wife, to know he is sorry. He did the best he could, even if it was not enough. And he knows she only wanted the best for him and their family, but he's a fuck-up. And he couldn't pull himself together for long enough to make it work. He also knows that she saw something good in him, something maybe he didn't even see in himself, but he is too, according to himself, fundamentally flawed to have any sort of a normal life. He's not sure if acting is for him anymore. Maybe he has fallen too far down that getting back up and getting himself together again is an impossibility. He doesn't know, and he doesn't know that he even wants to try. That is what I have for you on Russel Crow. Any additional questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next person whose energy I was asked to look into is an actress by the name of Emma Stone, who I believe, although I could be mistaken, won an Academy Award for her portrayal in a movie called La La Land. Let's see what Emma's energy wanted to share with me. Emma shimmies her hips in her sequined little dress that she chose to appear to me in and giggles. She says, like La La Land, get it? And she proceeds to tell me she loved La La Land. It was it for her. It was the absolute pinnacle of her career, and if she could have, she would have retired after that. Again, if she could. But she can't. Handlers and all that. Investors making back their money and all that. And she grumbles. She tells me everything leading up to La La Land was like a dress rehearsal. And not to say she didn't like nor love the characters she played and the other movies she had made. They just weren't La La Land. It wasn't the pizzazz of old Hollywood and all its former glamour. Those other movies and those other characters were more clinical and modern, one could say. Still good, but not quite the same. So she's really trying to slow down a lot more and to be more picky about the roles she plays and not just banging out movies anymore. Because she's got her awards, she's got her family, she's got her seat at the table. So what else exactly does she need? Nothing, right? I love how that punctuated it. Okay, good. Because climbing the Hollywood hierarchy and pulling yourself up from the bottom of the food chain was exhausting. That is what I have for you on Emma Stone. Any additional questions, please do let me know down below. Skipping some pages here. And the next person I was asked to look into is a singer by the name of Ice Cube and his wife, Coco. So let's see what Ice Cube's energy wanted to share with me. Ice Cube always liked his woman a little raunchy. This is according to him. These are not my words. Hello, I use a notebook for a reason, guys. So I can capture the full breadth and scope of the way a person's energy comes in. He liked his woman a little raunchy. And he likes his life to be a little raunchy, a little spicy, and a little flavorful. Not too much that it gets out of hand, just enough to add something a little bit extra. So he is proud of the fact that he was able to create that for himself and to provide for Coco and his family. Ice's energy reminds me of an old-time drug lord living in Miami. They're wearing the wife beater. They got their big pink Cadillac Chevy convertible. They're standing out under a palm tree. Like, it's a vibe, right? This is the way Ice Cube's energy came into me. He reminds me of that. He's his own fucking vibe, just like that. Because he is laid back despite the chaos around him, and he seems to not only survive in the chaos, but thrive in it. And he wields some sort of strange power from it. It's like he can draw his strength from it. So he winks at me and he tells me it's because of the love of a good woman, Coco, and her influence. And her influence on him. But he also concedes that's not entirely true. But he does love Coco and he loves to sing her praise. He tells me she is a little raunchy, but also grounded, and he found he really needed that. Especially since he has so much chaos around him. So her love and her influence really does set him straight. Aside from that, his life is a little bit like a tornado. With so many things spinning around him and by him, it's hard for me as an energy reader being in his sphere not to feel anxious and not to feel all of that crazy energy, even though it's not my life and it's not my problems. But then, standing in the middle of that tornado is Ice, watching it all go by around him. But he's standing in the middle, and despite all that chaos going on around him, he stands there with calmness and he says, this is why he will always be the king of his castle. Because to anyone else, they would be overwhelmed. So they are content to leave the headache to him. Because even among the mess that's all around him and the chaos that's all around him, he knows where everything is. He is, in fact, the stillness in the storm. And as if to prove it to me, he lifts his hands up, and more things that are on the ground around him start to lift up with him, like he's a wizard and he's controlling the elements. So he's lifting his arms up, and things around him start to get picked up in the tornado, and they start to go around and around and around. And then he takes his hands and he puts them down. And then as he lowers his hands, everything around him just stops. Everything that was up in the air and going around like a crazy motherfucking tornado come to the ground as well. So he is demonstrating to me he is more, way more than just a musician. Real life over here. He is way more than just a musician. He is both, one, a musician, and so much more than that. But everything that was spinning past in the wind, the tornado and everything sucked up in it, shielded me from seeing what it is and shields him from other prying eyes. That is what I have for you on Ice Cube. Any additional questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next person whose energy I was asked to look into is an actress by the name of Shannon Elizabeth. Shannon Elizabeth was on a TV show called, I think, Saved by the Bell. And she was later, as an adult, in a movie called Beats the Fuck Out of Me. I may have it on the energy read on her, but she was in a movie and she was mostly nude for the entirety of the movie. Let's see what Shannon's energy wanted to share with me. Shannon shakes her head and says she fucked it all up. She lives in so much grief and shame, it's hard to penetrate it and conversate with her. So while her energy is open, because she let me right the fuck in, however, once I was there, it felt like she wanted me or anybody else that she would let in to pull her out of it and to tell her it will be okay. She tells me she puts on a brave face. She has told everyone she is okay, but she's not. And she has not been for years, not since that fucking debacle of a movie sunk her and her career and turned her into a walking, talking punchline. And it's still so strong, she's sure it will even follow her into the afterlife. So unless I have a magic wand that I can wave and make everything better for her, it was at this point she asked me to leave. And I don't have a magic wand, so I left. And that is what I have for you on Shannon Elizabeth. Any questions, please do let me know down below. The next person whose energy I was asked to look into is an actor by the name of Vince Vaughn. While he is not quite as prolific as an actor these days, let's see what his energy wanted to share with me. Vince Vaughn was one of a series of funny but not very good-looking actors that were introduced to audiences as an experiment. They were looking to diversify, to show that the industry and thus the world is not in fact obsessed only with good-looking people, but they put some stock into humor too. He did not know that he was part of an agenda, and even if he did, he wouldn't care. He got to date nice-looking women, have a career, interesting experiences, and to even rub elbows with some of the most famous people on the planet, and he was treated as if he was just like them. He even got to fuck some of them, but not the very bright ones, but even so. So even though he doesn't know or doesn't care that he was part of an agenda, he is very grateful to the industry for the nice life he has had because of it. That's what I have for you on Vince Vaughn. Any questions, please do let me know down below. The next person whose energy I was asked to look into is a brief energetic exchange, but very telling, is Whoopi Goldberg. Whoopi Goldberg won her Academy Award for her portrayal, I believe, in a film called Ghost, and she is also on a agendized TV show today with a bunch of other talking heads called, I forget the fuck what. That's not what it's called. I just can't remember what it's called. It matters not, there is Google for that. Let's see what Whoopi's energy wanted to share with me. Whoopi Goldberg, not her real name, has got a dark soul. She has done some truly dark shit to achieve her seat at the table, and she has been irrevocably altered by it. But she doesn't care. Look what she has achieved. She's had a long career, influence on her show, which is also a demonstration of her attachment that she refers to it as her show. Not her show, she just refers to it as her show. And prominence in the world. What can the rest claim? What can the rest of us claim? What can the 99%ers claim? Nothing. She thought so. So, it was at this point she told me to get the fuck out of here with my self-righteousness. So I do. That is what I have for you on Whoopi Goldberg. Any questions, please do let me know down below. The next person I was asked to look into is an actress by the name of Vanessa Hudgens. I don't really know what she's famous for. I think she was like a TV star some years ago. Let's see what Vanessa's energy wanted to share with me. Vanessa Hudgens has sampled from the tasty buffet of life that the world has been to her. She absolutely loves her life and is so grateful to have had a second chance because after having a taste, she'd never want to go back to boring and banal ever again. And lucky for her, she doesn't have to. She can be a little vapid, but she has a robust sexual appetite, and her ambition far outweighed any potential boundaries that she had. And because of this, she was turned into a courtesan, a la Kate Beckinsale. And if you have not seen the previous AMA in which I looked into Kate Beckinsale, do yourself a solid. I've linked it down below. Go back and watch it. But Vanessa is a favorite plaything of Japanese and Asian businessmen who happen to travel to LA. They love her because they get a taste of Hollywood, but she doesn't cost as much as the more famous models. So, because she doesn't cost as much for her attention and her sexual favors, they tip her very well, and she's happy to do whatever they like. Best part is, she doesn't talk much. So yeah, she gets her Louis Vuittons, and her Dior's, and her Louboutins, and all it costs is a couple of hours of her life. So it's worth it to her. That is what I have for you on Vanessa Hudgens. Any questions, please do let me know down below. The next person I was asked to look into is somebody by the name of Nicole Richie. Nicole Richie is one of the daughters of Lionel Richie, who was a singer, and she was on a TV show, like a so-called reality TV show back in the day with Paris Hilton called The Simple Life. Nicole Richie is now a designer. She has like her own fashion label. She's married to one of the Maddens, always confuse them apart, and she has 2 kids with him. So let's see what Nicole's energy wanted to share with me. Nicole Richie gives me a little smile and says she did good. She really did good. From chunky sidekick of Paris Hilton to designer to mother, she's had a life, a real life. And she's proud of it. She's proud of her and her husband and what they have built together. So for every cautionary tale, there are success stories as well, and she's really proud to be one of them. And she got there by having a private life, not one for the tabloids, so that's all she wanted to share with me as well, as I am a so-called energetic version of a tabloid writer. So because she views me as an energetic version of a tabloid writer, she didn't want to share anything else with me. And I am very honored to have been called that, so thank you, Nicole. And that is what I have for you on Nicole Richie. Any questions, let me know down below. Should I have like a business card made up that says I'm an energetic tabloid writer? I don't know. I mean, it's kind of, I might have to add it to my profile. So when the Matrix police come along, I could be like, no girl, I don't peddle in facts. I peddle in energy because I'm an energetic tabloid writer. The next person whose energy I was asked to look into is Halle Berry. Halle Berry is an Academy Award winning actress. Let's see what her energy wanted to share with me. I'm sorry, I'm still laughing about that. Halle Berry wags her finger at me and says, no, 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 no. Do not think she didn't know I've been trying to connect to her energy. Here's the thing. To be fair, guys, it's not a secret. I literally will go up to a person and I will announce that I am an energy reader and I am seeking consent to connect to their energy. So I wasn't like trying to like pull some ninja thing going on here where I was going to try to like climb over her walls or dig under them and to see what I could see without her consent. No, girl, I literally came up to you and I was like, hi, I'm an energy reader and I'd like consent to connect to your energy. But no. Do not think she didn't know that I was trying to connect to her energy, even though I announced it. But facts over feelings, guys. There will be none of those. But okay, sure. Spin it, Halle, the way you like to spin it, where you're the victim of an unscrupulous energy reader. But there's a reason she hasn't let me in. Unscrupulous or not. So, okay, here's the thing. So she knew I was here all along, and that's why she chose not to let me in, because I'm an unscrupulous energy reader, according to her. But in a moment ago, she just said, don't think I didn't know. Like, girl, you can't have it both ways. Did you know or did you not know? Because I let you know that I was there. But okay, I digress. And don't think they, as in her friends, haven't been talking. They know that there's guys, the secret's out. They know there's an energy reader, quote, doing the rounds, end quote. Although I hardly think I'm the only energy reader that's doing the so-called rounds. But whatever, guys, facts over, feelings over facts, whatever. So, don't think that her friends haven't been talking. This is Faye with her serious face. Don't think her friends haven't been talking. And don't think that they don't know there's an energy reader doing the rounds. But she won't be one of them. And she refuses to be just another notch in someone's belt, another celebrity conquest. So to go on my way, as she is sure there's any number of others that will be willing to talk to me, but she will not be one of them. So, 2% personal opinion. In my short and entirely brief interaction with Halle Berry, she struck me as entitled and dramatic, and frankly, no one whose energy I would even want to be in. So thanks, Halle, and bye. That is what I have for you on Halle Berry. Any questions, please do let me know down below. The next person, now we're going to be getting into a number of very, very short reads, okay? A number of them. But still, they came in, and this is what they shared with me. So the next person I was asked to look into is an old-time actress by the name of Betty Page. Let's see what Betty's energy wanted to share with me. Betty Page was a CIA asset. So her day job, if you will, her front, her cover, was to be an actress. But that was in fact all it was, a cover. Because what her real job was to be a CIA asset. And she was proud of it. Proud that someone had seen something in her that she herself did not recognize, but was seen nonetheless. And she was proud to have made a real meaningful contribution, but not to film or movies. No, it does not bother her, in case we were wondering, that most people don't know what she really was, a CIA asset. No, she won't tell me anything more than that, because like a good asset, she took her secrets to the grave and beyond. That is what I have for you on Betty Page. Any other questions, please do let me know down below. The next person I was asked to look into is an actor by the name of Matt Dillon. Matt Dillon has been in Hollywood for fucking ever. And he was in that movie called Wild Things with me and names, y'all. What's her name and what's her name? Literally, I can't even remember their names. But I remember this movie coming out. This was a hot and spicy movie, right? Like that, hot and spicy. There's one scene, if you've seen this movie, you know the scene that I am talking about. For anyone who has not seen it, don't comment down below, but you can just, in the comments, you can put like a fire emoji and let me know you know the scene that I'm referencing. There was one scene in the movie that was hella fucking hot, right? Matt Dillon. Let's see what his energy wanted to share with me. Matt Dillon is a cad. And being older has only slightly slowed him down. Slightly. Because he is older after all, but really only slightly older. And why miss out on all of that? Not going to say the name, I'll spell it for you. Why miss out on all that Pussy coming his way? Now here's the thing. If you had seen the segment at the top on the female rap movement and the over-proliferation of sexuality in it, when they refer to women as the WAPs and the song Wet Ass Pussy, that's done in a derogatory way. Surprise, surprise, it's not done derogatory with Matt Dillon because of what he shared next with me. No, he is not a Lothario. And he always pleasures a woman first. He always calls them the next day. He always cuddles with them after. He will never ever get impatient or send them not so subtle signs to get the fuck out of his house because he really loves women. Like really. And that is why he is such a cad. So he loves and doesn't disrespect the Pussy, if you will. And there is just so many beautiful women to taste, to touch, to wander over, and to explore. All of their soft curves and their beautiful angles. Women's bodies really made him a believer in God. Because according to him, nothing so perfect can be an accident or mere evolution. No. It was obviously a higher power and one in which he gladly worships in. The temple located right between a woman's legs. So that is what I have for you on the self-proclaimed cad Matt Dillon. Any questions, please do let me know down below. The next person whose energy I was asked to look into is an actor by the name of Michael J. Fox. Was in a number of sitcoms when he was younger. I think he still acts here and there. He also has a health condition called Parkinson's. So let's see what Michael's energy wanted to share with me. Michael J. Fox looks back on his life and it's bittersweet. He had a good life, a good career, a good family, good kids, good wife, nothing but blessings, and then Parkinson's. He hates how it's taken over everything and how it's become all-consuming, not just in the day-to-day of his life, but about him as well. That he is the actor that has Parkinson's, and somehow it seems as if nothing else really matters about him. So he tries to make other things matter, at least for himself. And some days he has big wins, and some days none at all, but he will keep trying, at least for now. ... That is what I have for you on Michael J. Fox. Any questions, please do comment down below. The next person I was asked to look into is a climate activist by the name of Greta Thunberg. Let's see what Greta's energy wanted to share with me. Greta sneers at me. She squints her eyes And she says, "Climate denier," while charging at me energetically. Then she immediately goes into a rehearsed monologue about how my car is destroying Earth, literally destroying it. She doesn't understand how we can be so selfish and so laissez-faire about the destruction of our planet. She asks, what's wrong with me? And where is my humanity? So I ask her how it feels to be a tool of the cabal. And she starts screaming at me, Holocaust denier, racist, homophobe. So, through this brief exchange with her, she basically proved to me what she is. A mouthpiece of the cabal. Just throwing anything she can at somebody to make us look bad. And thus, after her proving to me what she is, I energetically hang up on her energy and I go my merry way. That is what I have for you on Greta Thunberg. Any comments, please do let me know down below. By the way, also, here's the thing. Greta, 2% personal opinion, dear. Next time you want to start levying accusations against somebody, maybe take the time to conversate with them and to see where they actually stand on all of these accusations. Because maybe if she would have taken the time to get to know me, these so-called negative terms would not have been applicable. But she didn't care because she's just going to say whatever she can say to make other people look bad. So we stop asking too many questions. That's what I have for you on Greta. The next person whose energy I was asked to look into is an actor by the name of Cillian Murphy. Cillian Murphy is a beautiful man. He has the dark hair and the beautiful eyes, and I have no fucking clue what things he's been in other than the one Batman movie I had seen him in. I think he was in like a TV series called Peaky Blinders or Peaky Blinders or something. As you can tell, I need to consult with you guys on what's going out in the 3D world, because I'm just retracting my energy and attention as best I can at this point. But yes, I still know who people are. And even if I didn't know who they are, I can read their energy, because I am a energetic tabloid writer. So Cillian Murphy shared with me he gets a kick out of all the memes made of his resting bitch face. Damn, do I love those memes. It's him sitting, just looking at somebody like, or he'll make a face where he looks like something stinks while looking at somebody. So he actually really gets a kick out of it. Of course, he's never done it with the intention of it becoming a thing, but honestly, we have no idea what a fucking bore these press junkets are. You spend months filming a movie with, according to Cillian, these overpaid and overgrown babies, and now you have to sit next to them some more and blather on about how great one another is and how much you enjoyed working with them and how great the movie is. It's like, can everyone just chill? It's a fucking movie. It's entertainment. No one has found a cure for cancer. On a set of a film, it's all just a distraction. And he hates how everyone plays along with it and how phony it all is. And how phony everyone is. Ear kissing to somebody's face while stabbing them with their eyes behind their back. So he started to drop the facade. And as a result, people either love him or hate him for it, but he doesn't care. He didn't join the industry to make friends. He joined it to make movies and to do something he genuinely enjoyed doing. The hobnobbing he could do without. The award shows he could certainly do without. And he hopes he never wins anything big, because if he does, it means he's lost his way. He's lost his integrity and his soul along with it. So, he feels lucky to have had a career doing what he loves, but he sometimes wishes the industry didn't come with all the rest. That is what I have for you on Cillian Murphy. Any questions, please do let me know down below. The next topic that I was asked to look into is something called a twin flame cult. Let's see what the guides had brought on this. So the twin flame cult preyed on young, idealistic, and deeply wounded, insecure people. Since, as we know, everything in the world operates on, or if you've been here long enough, I certainly hope by now you know that, everything in the world operates on a vibrational level. This was a cult built on wounds and insecurity. Thus, because like attracts to like, insecure people with wounds flocked to it and were easy then therefore to control, manipulate, and exploit in the process. They were lost to themselves and sought a place to belong, and finding a group of people just like them felt good. Because they felt seen and recognized for the first time without the understanding they were not in fact seen at all, but were essentially a mirror for those around them to see themselves. The energy of this cult felt akin to a swarm of drunk bees, just buzzing aimlessly around, going nowhere, doing nothing, just being and existing, but truly being in a holding pattern or acting as a bookmark for themselves to mentally come back to as a justification for their actual inactivity in life. That is what I have for you on the twin flame cult. Any questions, please do let me know down below. This is where I'm also going to remind you, there goes another crystal. They could be dropping like flies today. And by the way, I really did try to outdo myself from last time where I had like a bunch of crystals falling. Today, I surrounded myself with 5 crystals. This is a record. I was like, I wonder how many I can accidentally knock off the chair. No, that's not what I was really actually thinking. I felt called to working with the energy of these 5 crystals, and thus I had picked them up. So another way of saying it, when they fall down, it's energetically a way of letting me know I no longer need to be receiving the energy of those crystals as I share the remainder of the video with you. I will not, in fact, be picking them up, therefore. What I will be doing is hydrating myself. So I hope that you will take a moment to hydrate yourself as well. All right. The next topic that I was asked to look into are 2 male models by the name of Tyson Beckford and Marcus Schenkenberg. Now, there was some questions that was asked to me about male models and if there's any level of abuse in it, and if they had to do anything to kind of like climb through the ranks. So let's see what their energy wanted to share with me. So, Tyson's energy did agree to come in. However, Marcus's energy did not. And it was because of what he had experienced and what he did not want to relive. And by opening himself up to me, he would then therefore be reliving it. So Marcus's energy did not choose to allow me to come into it. But Tyson's did. So Tyson had shared with me, it was all right at first. There was nothing overt or off, and it seemed professional, so he had no reason to be suspicious or even uncomfortable. But yeah, little things were off. Like, first and foremost, drug use was absolutely fucking rampant. And it was like a virus infecting everyone and everything. and that Coke was the most notable one because it kept the ladies slim and it naturally suppressed their appetite. And since the girls were always complaining about being hungry, this would do the trick for them, and it gave them a nice buzz for photo shoots or runway shows. However, then afterwards, they were all strung out. He had shared with me even the men who were not meant to be slim, but to display a more athletic build, were doing lines before shows. There was also pill popping and there was freebasing going on in bathrooms, and no one blinked. It even seemed like it was low level being condoned since everyone knew about it, but no one said or did anything about it. There were a couple of times that he was asked to stay behind after a shoot had wrapped, but he was not being invited to stick around and hang out with the crew afterwards. It was more like, hey, we just wrapped, why don't you stick around and have some fun with us and play with us? And we'll take some pictures too. But this did not sit well with him because he was booked for a set amount of time, and outside of that, he was done. So why would he have other photos taken when he wasn't being paid for them? And it wasn't just about the money. It was just about being like good business to him. And it didn't make sense to allow yourself to be used that way, to have photos taken of you when you weren't being paid for it. He was like, he viewed himself as a professional model. Why the fuck would that's just bad business. So he always politely declined and said he had an early morning shoot the next day. There were also some other things that he refused to discuss with me, but he acknowledged the industry could be very interesting. That's that's the way in which he chose to share the other things he didn't want to share with me. They were interesting. Men were treated as a piece of meat. No one cared about you as a person, not your likes, your dislikes, if you were nice or an asshole, if you read or if you wrote, or anything about you as a person. They were essentially used as human hangers to display clothes, and it could be a demoralizing industry to be in because it placed such an utmost level of importance on appearances alone. But a lot of people in the industry found themselves there because of their own wounds and needing to feel validated for their appearances alone. However, it was only to get into the industry and to find it actually did nothing for them, nor their feelings of needing to be validated. He said in his experience, there were girls who were very tall and had been made fun of because of it. So therefore, they found themselves in an industry where height was considered to be an asset. But then their appearance was still picked apart. Not very healthy. And yes, there was some SA, some sexual, not going to put the two words together, but some of that and abuse. But he wouldn't go so far as to call it non-consensual sex. There's another word for that, talking in code. But more, a lot of people were getting handsy, and a lot of men were pressuring a lot of women, and a lot of women were pressuring a lot of male models. But mostly because everyone was so high, they were pliable because of it. And he shared, it's a good industry if one has a strong sense of self and won't be destroyed by the constant nitpicking over one's physical appearance. But also, if someone has a strong sense of self, they probably wouldn't want to go into the modeling industry anyway, because what healthy person would choose to go into it? Only deeply damaged people flock to a career where other people look at them all day long. Like, were you invisible as a child at home and you need to get onto the other side of it, so you're choosing to enter the model industry to get onto the other side of it? Tyson says, go to therapy instead and save your body for those that love you for who you are inside of it and not how you look on the outside of it. That is what I have for you on Tyson Beckford. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next person's energy that I was asked to look into, as I go ahead to see if we can fit all of the information that had come into this AMA. I think so. I think we can get it all done. The next person whose energy I was asked to look into is a former actress who had crossed over by the name of Naya Rivera. Naya Rivera had been on a TV show called Glee. And a couple of years ago, she had, I think, taken like her son boating, and she had crossed over, but her son is alive and well. So let's see what Naya's energy wanted to share with me. Naya's energy was shown to me as her being in a big glass tank full of water and banging on the walls of the glass tank to be let out. This is how it felt for her to drown. There was water, so much water everywhere, and she couldn't get a breath in because if she took a breath in, she would drown, swallowing all that water. But here's the thing, the representation of her being in a tank of water also was an indication that she felt trapped when she was in the water, because her limbs were shown to me as not working. However, she was fully awake, aware, and conscious. So her mind was alert, but her body had essentially shut down and was not cooperating with her. So she was trying to swim and she couldn't. Her body wasn't cooperating with her. So she was either given something that shut her body down, or she had naturally suffered a stroke or something that left her physically incapacitated. I asked her if she knows which one it is, if she was given something or she was physically incapacitated due to natural means. And she just shrugged at me, and she pointed to her throat and went like this. So she was indicating she couldn't speak, because she had shown me the sensation of what it felt like to drown, and taking in all of that water and getting it lodged in her throat while she was drowning and trying to cough it up, but she was underwater. So she's taking it in, coughing it up. It wasn't really going anywhere. Because of that sensation is still so fresh in her mind. And the trauma of it has her energetically unable to speak. She showed me herself a representation sleeping, like her laying down, curled up in a ball with her head on her hands, and that she is now in a state of energetic shutdown so she can heal. And it's not just her body from the trauma, it's her heart. She is devastated. She can't be with her little boy in the world anymore. She is crushed that he has to grow up without his mother, and her soul mourns, which is why she was put into a state of energetic shutdown and deep healing. It's too much. It's too painful, and she can't be awake for it, so to say. Even on the other side, she cannot be awake to know what happened, that she can't be with her little boy, because she is gutted. And she showed me the love she had for her son was beyond anything she could imagine, and that she never fully, truly felt like she had a real meaning and purpose in life until she became a mother. So to have it taken away from her, she's lost everything. She lost her life, her ability to be with her son physically in life, and even though she has crossed over, It all makes her want to somehow be unalived again so that even on the other side, she doesn't have to experience this and endure it. She wants to be unalived, but this time with her consciousness. She cannot imagine having been given something that would shut her down physically, and thus doesn't even want to think about it or even look into it. Yet, she doesn't want to think about it or look into it yet, because she's not ready for it, to see the truth and to know the truth. And to even know if this was in fact some sort of a soul contract and that it was actually her choice for it to go down this way, or if it was at the hands of another. Either way, it's all just too much for her to even contemplate. And even now, talking to me this little about it, she has to go back to energetic sleep now, and she must rest. That is what I have for you on Naya Rivera. Any questions, please do let me know down below. The next person I was asked to look into is an actor by the name of Garry Busey, who I think is well known for unfortunately having a very, very serious drug addiction. So let's see what Gary's energy wanted to share with me. Garry has seen some shit. Because what else drives a man to do such massive amounts of coke as he did, and to relentlessly pursue more and more and more and more of it for years? Come on, people. It's an unhealthy coping mechanism, and he doesn't understand why or how, on a societal level, it is not understood, or it's not even treated as an unhealthy coping mechanism, but rather it is dismissed away as something so simply labeled as addiction, and being attributed and having his unhealthy coping mechanism being attributed to that. He seethes at it. The gall of it. And he shared he is not unique. So he energetically tips his hat to Hunter Biden and says Hunter is his, quote, brother in arms, unquote, tethered together by their similarities and their collective trauma, i.e., handsy parents. And that they were, as children, playthings to their parents. And the only thing that gave Garry any temporary reprieve from the remembrance of being a parent's plaything was that one little line, or that one large line, or the entire fucking bowl of Coke, or a bump. Because with it, he could be so singularly focused on it and nothing else that he temporarily forgot about the emotional pain that he was in. One line chased by another line, and all those lines chasing one another chased the pain away. He then shared with me that he has a love-hate relationship with being sober. He admits he can think better and he physically feels better. However, emotionally, he wishes he was unalived. Because it turns out sobriety is in fact incredibly hard to maintain. But not because of the drugs themselves, but because of what the drug represents, an escape. You think, he's asking rhetorically, you think being an addict is hard? Try being sober. Try facing the shit reality of what your shit parents had done and the completely shitty things that were done to you, and living with it sober until death do you part from the memories of it. So, fuck our self-righteous society that means to band-aid the hurt and smack an easily digestible label on it. Addiction. That is what I have for you on Garry Busey. Any questions, please do let me know down below. The next person I was asked to look into, sorry, this is not a person, this is a topic. Are murders more prevalent? Is unaliving people more prevalent now, or do they just seem to be because of social media and court TV? Let's see what the goods were that the guides had brought to me. Okay, so first and foremost, before we can answer this question, we have to separate the 3D representation of it from the behind the veil aspect. So, on a strictly 3D level, it's an action of one person who can be known or unknown to the perpetrator that is unaliving them, and it sometimes can seem tragic, senseless, or without any apparent motive. However, behind the veil, every time one person is unalived at the hands of another, it is either a soul contract between these two souls, or it is the righting of a previous wrong, and thus it is in fact a karmic rebalancing. So, no matter how senseless a crime appears to be, it is in fact behind the veil anything but senseless. Now, as Earth and her inhabitants, i.e. us, continue to ascend, all souls have made a choice if they want to ascend now, in this lifetime, or if they need more time. So we may in fact be seeing a lot of crime and unaliving around us. However, I remind you, this is all a reflection of the choices that the souls have made prior to this incarnation. Do they in fact want to see the upcoming societal changes, or do they want to bow out before then? If they do want to bow out before then, that can also be done in a way that wraps up some outstanding karmic shit. So, while they're right here. So when they next come back, it's into a new and higher vibe world. Now, the Earth is also cleansing herself of lower, denser, and darker energies, and everything that is not aligned with where we are going is coming to the surface, because it's all being purged. That includes outstanding karmic debts between souls. So please remember, whatever we see playing out in the world around us is a massive energetic rebalancing, and is in fact a reflection of all the soul's choices being represented at this time. Not a clear-cut answer, but the answer that we were most meant to have nonetheless. So that is what I have for you on if unaliving is more prevalent now or just appears to be that way. Now, the next person whose energy I was asked to look into is somebody by the name of Amber Rose. I gotta be honest with you. I'm sorry, guys. I really don't know. Like, I know who she is. I don't know why she's I don't know what she's done or why she's like a celebrity. Sorry, I just don't. I can't contribute anything meaningful to the Matrix police for why she is who she is. But I can contribute a hell of a lot energetically. And this is what Amber Rose energy chose to share with me. Amber Rose thought she cracked the code. What code? The 3D success code. But she doesn't know or identify it as such. She just thinks she's cracked the code to lead a good life and to have success. And for her, it used to be through the hustle, not the work hustle, not the 9-to-5 grind hustle, but the hustle of identifying the mark, learning them a little bit, and molding herself to be a fit for them and to them. So that way she could get her needs met and then to move on to another mark. However, that involved so much work and it was so time consuming. And she couldn't fully disengage from the host until she had another one lined up. Altogether, it was too much work. So like a hound dog, sniffing the ear and following the scent to its next tasty meal, she read the direction the wind was blowing and realized soon enough she was going to be seen as a grifter, which apparently is in fact what she was. So it was time to rebrand herself as a so-called feminist. A modern woman who could take care of herself without a man. And since everyone now is all about inclusivity and not shaming anyone, she grifted herself some other feminist friends, and they could all bleat on about how empowered they are by taking their clothes off and earn money for it. And how it's actually all something to be very proud of. I guess she's a stripper then. But all she's essentially done is rebrand the world's oldest profession, prostitution. She doesn't necessarily have sex, but she is still involved in a transactional industry that includes selling herself to a man. So the con now is not necessarily against the John, but against us, society. By telling us how empowered women today are by making money by being on OnlyFans, when it's in fact just another grift, just another day, but it's one that she can do on her own time and without a man. Except that her Johns are still men. That's what I have for you on Amber Rose. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next person I was asked to look into, they actually came right together as a pair. It was like, okay, Faye, you've looked into Emily. You've looked at, what's her name? Amber. Now you're gonna look into Emily, because I have a feeling these two are somehow connected. Now, Emily, her last name is impossible to pronounce. I think it's Rata Jakowski or Rata, I don't know. Emily Ratajkowski was in a video, a music video, with Robin Thicke, and I forget his name. And she was mostly naked in that video. But she's gone on and she's done some other things as well. Let's see what Emily's energy wanted to share with me. Emily, however you pronounce her last name, is smart enough to have seen the writing on the wall and flexible enough to pivot with it. She actually is incredibly shrewd and savvy and was really able to parlay her 15 minutes of fame into something more substantial. But she said she didn't entirely do it on her own, but she also didn't entirely do it with anybody's help either. How did she do it then? She did it by keeping her mouth shut and her ears open and to learn as much as she could about a lot of different topics so she could be someone that was interesting to talk to and not just a one-note hot girl like so many people expected her to be. She also shared with me that she doesn't mind that her origin and how she first came to be on the map was by being a hot girl. She just didn't want to get stuck there. Because the road to success is littered with the has-beens, the once hot girls that didn't have enough foresight to know that one day they were going to grow up, one day they were going to grow older, and they wouldn't forever be hot. And one day they would in fact be washed out party girls if they didn't evolve with the times. She cited Tara Reid as an example. It's a cautionary tale. And it's one that she paid attention to. Besides, she can't think of anything better than someone thinking she's stupid and then proving them wrong, but not by opening her mouth and saying so or proving how intelligent she is, but by doing so with her success. Will she perhaps allow herself to be agendized? She's not against it, as long as she doesn't get stuck there either. Her motto is evolve, rinse, repeat. So keep your eye on her or don't, but don't expect her to be mediocre either. That is what I have for you on Emily Ratajkowski. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next person I was asked to look into is an actress by the name of Salma Hayek. Salma had been in a couple of movies, kind of sprinkled throughout the years. Last I read about her, she's married to somebody by the name of it's French, so it's spelled Henry, but I think it's pronounced Henri, Pinot, something like that. For someone who's actually not involved in the 3D at all, like there's certain things that I'll remember with like alarming clarity. This is one of them. I remember her husband's name, and I know that it's written Henry, but it's pronounced Henri. Make it make sense. We can't. Let's just go with it. So let's see what Salma Hayek's energy wanted to share about me and the energy of her husband, Henri. Salma Hayek smirks at me because of how wonderful her life is. She did good, and she is proud of exactly how good she did, and that she was really able to level up big time. But she refused to comment on how, rather preferred to tell me again how great her life is, how much money she has, and all about her jewelry and her fashionable clothes and her husband's brilliance and the incredible life he has given her. So essentially, it's all about the 3D shit. She said, quote, "You can call it shit if you want to, but my life is pretty with it," end quote. She thinks I call it shit because it's things that I myself don't have. Never you mind if I want them or not. I don't have them, and that must be why I'm referring to them as shit. And because they're things that I don't have and I can't have, therefore I demean it by calling it shit. But she is content with her life and is the epitome of someone who doesn't know what they themselves don't know about what else is out there. Like living on the other side of the veil and not being obsessed with 3D material goods. And I, for one, am not going to be the one to tell her about it. That is what I have for you on Salma Hayek. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next topic I was asked to look into, fascinating, something I never would have thought of looking into, is this question if one can be wealthy and if they can live in the light. So let's see what was shown to me about this. It is, of course, possible, but it depends on what we have arranged for or agreed to prior to our incarnating into any particular lifetime. Did we line up having material wealth in a lifetime? Did we also line up being spiritually inclined in that lifetime? Because we are the cosmic creators of our realities. So, the pitfalls, however, of having material wealth is, first and foremost, that this being a dense 3D energy on the earth plane, us having our memory wiped prior to being born and the additional potential to being seduced by the 3D makes it that much harder to, in fact, be good and to do good with our wealth once we have it. But it is not impossible, just more highly improbable. But again, not because of our soul and our intention was not to do good, but because the energy here is one where there is so much luxury items that are being sold to us and are being put in our face as if it is the most important thing. There's beautiful houses, amazing vacations, luxury designer goods, crystal champagne, cars, whatever the fuck. And the more stock we put in those 3D things, I'm sorry, I can't read what I wrote here. The more stock we put in those 3D things that we can enjoy with our wealth, the more they pull us away from being spiritually inclined and from the desire to do good with the 3D wealth that we have. It is not a coincidence that many genuinely good spiritual gurus do not have a lot. It is because they have found the temptation towards the 3D, and it pulls them away from themselves and back out to the external things, and therefore they have made a decision to go without so they can more easily turn within. So it is a rare person indeed that can in fact be wealthy and can live in the light. But it's again, not to disempower us and to say like, oh, we're just so easily seduced by the 3D. Sure, that's part of it. But it's actually genuinely because a lot of the people that are spiritually inclined and that do live in the light have made some sort of a decision, conscious or otherwise, not to have a lot. So that way, through their not having a lot, they can easily more remain in their own energy and in their own space. So I hope that that answers your question on that. Any additional questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next person I was asked to look into is a director by the name of Quentin Tarantino. Let's see what Quentin's energy wanted to share with me. Quentin Tarantino loves making films. More than just making them, he loves watching a good film. He loves the process of becoming inspired and seeing where that takes him. He just loves all of it. Sure, he admits he's quirky. I'm sorry, I have an itch. I'm using my notebook to scratch it in case you see my hand and you're like, what the fuck is Faye doing? That's what I'm doing. Sure, he admits he's quirky and he's always been, and that's another reason he loves making movies. He can direct all his quirky energy into it and create something fun or irreverent. And with that, he can reach everyone else out there that's also quirky and give them a home and a place to belong. He says there is no better way to bring people together than through a shared experience, and there is no better shared experience than watching a great movie together. So he will always strive to create great films, and he will continue to. That is what I have for you on Quentin Tarantino. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next topic that I was asked to look into is a musical performer by the name of 50 Cent. Let us see what 50's energy wanted to share with me. 50 Cent is forever grateful to those above him in the club. But wait, he knows that sounds really bad. So he self-edits and he says, yes, first and foremost, the industry is fucked up. But if one has a good head on their shoulders and can work the system, they can get out of some truly fucked up situations and give themselves a good life. And he says he is one of them that has. Now, 50 is incredibly gifted because he was shown to me as seeing things as they actually are. So he has the gift of clairvoyance or clairseeing. He is also a touch psychic, and that has guided him in what business ventures to get involved with. He is also claircognizant and realizes more and more that the more he trusts it and his instincts, the better his life will in fact be. He said one thing that really helped him tremendously is seeing those above him in the industry and in the club as vampires. Not just literal vampires, but like literal vampires, seeing them literally as such, and realizing that enabled him to see the currency that the industry ran on, energy. Because early on, they promise you the sun, the moon, and the stars, and they blow so much steam up your ass until your ego is so big and you think you are untouchable. Until they come to collect, and man, is that a rude awakening. So he's grateful for those above him because a few really looked out for him and explained how things really are. So he was prepared and he knew how to protect himself. So he played dumb. He pretended to be a little out to lunch, which wasn't really hard. And it was fun to play that way. And it can be fun anyway to actually exist in the industry in that kind of an energy. But meanwhile, he kept his eyes open, his mouth shut, and he always looked for opportunities. Did I skip a page? Hold on. No. To always look for opportunities. Period. There we go. I missed the period. Again, I am the hand that holds the pen of the channeled information. Sometimes I just go and I don't punctuate. Here I didn't punctuate with a period. So yes, he always looked for opportunities, period. He said for those that don't take themselves too seriously and don't buy into their so-called greatness, the industry tries to put into them. You can use the industry as a stepping stone to go out and to have an amazing life, and one in which you aren't owned or beholden to anyone. He only wished he figured it all out before they took out M. Because man, he misses him, and his success would be all the more sweeter if he had M around to enjoy it and to share it with. That is what I have for you on 50 Cent. Any additional questions, please do let me know down below. Next one is a very brief itty bitty one. I was asked to look into the energy on a soccer player by the name, or a footballer if you're across the pond, by the name of Cristiano Ronaldo. So as soon as I connected to Cristiano's energy, he winked at me, he held up his pointer finger and he went like this. Symbolism. So he held up his finger to his mouth to indicate being quiet, and he tells me he'll never tell on the club because all of his success is tied to them. That is what I have for you on Cristiano Ronaldo. The next topic I was asked to look into is actually a girl band by the name of the Spice Girls. So let's see what their energy wanted to share with me. The Spice Girls was an industry-made cash cow. They took one of each kind of a so-called type, took away their name, which then became their type instead, and voila! They had one for every kind in the world to attract attention onto, and they laughed all the way to the bank. Not necessarily the girls themselves, although they were certainly well compensated, but those that dreamed them up. Because what were the types that replaced their names and became their identity? There was sporty, for the sporty gals and guys. There was baby, who is sweet and vulnerable. There was posh, for those who like their singers bougie. There was scary spice, for those who like the girls a little crazy, like so-called crazy and a little out there. And then there was Ginger with her fiery red hair. It was brilliant. Because they were essentially feeding us a simplified version of your favorite group, because we didn't even have to know their names. All we needed to know was their so-called type. And surely in that group of girls, there was a type or two that resonated with you. It was in fact a flagrant reveal of what all groups have been or would continue to be, where there is a type for everyone. But in this case, they were also British, and they had the great accents, and they were like the Beatles, but they were girls, and they were for a new generation, and they were all about girl power. So man, it was brilliant, and man, did they make a ton of fucking money, and man, do they wish they could do it again. But it was a moment in time when it worked. Because the trend now is music competitions, and it costs so much less to get a return on your investment. It's also the same principle, just decades later, and always with the same goal: to siphon our energy off of us through our time, energy, and our attention and our money. That is what I have for you on the Spice Girls. Any additional questions, please do let me know down below. The next topic I was asked to look into is another girl band. This one, more of a modern day band by the name of the Pussycat Dolls. Let's see what the Pussycat Dolls energy wanted to share with me. The Pussycat Dolls was someone's idea of trying to revitalize the girl band, but to make them super sexy and closer to pinup girls. It was an unintentional reveal in a way because it showcased female musicians and singers for how they are really viewed: as sexy entertainers for men to unload their fantasies onto. But in this case, literally. And while they did have some success and a reality TV show and some songs were on the radio, their real purpose was to entertain men. Mostly foreigners and Asian men. They were, after all, entertainers, were they not? So go entertain. Oh, as if the girls in the group were saying, wait, this is not what I signed up for. Oh, you thought you were an entertainer on a stage? Like a stripper? Okay, go into that room with that man and strip for him. Because the work they did as performers was, again, just like in the modeling industry, that was really just their calling card. It was the way to advertise their services. So whereas the intention of the Spice Girls was to siphon the energy from the audience, the purpose of the Pussycat Dolls was to use the energy of the performers to siphon money off the men they entertained. That is what I have for you in the Pussycat Dolls. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now I'm going to skip some pages because this is going to be the next channel video on Will and Jada Smith. Okay, the next topic that I was asked to look into is a singer by the name of Solange Knowles, who also happens to be Beyonce's sister. So let's see what Solange's energy wanted to share with me. Solange hated growing up in her home with her, quote, psycho, end quote, dad, her strong but ineffective mother, and her totally zoned out but destined for greatness sister. From her perspective, Beyonce was so shut down because of their dad, and so pliable and moldable, and so vacant inside, she couldn't imagine her father ever backing down. And then, by extension, Beyonce would never back down until she was not hot shit. So at least they got what they wanted. And Solange is happy it's not her. She wasn't built that way. She was terrified of the tyrant her father was. But she was not shut down, whereas Beyonce was. And she cannot imagine living in the spotlight as B does. She needs too much quiet time and peace. And she also could not imagine her career taking over her life and only ever wanted to earn a living so she could have a life. But mostly, she couldn't imagine being married to Jay-Z. He's too polished at this point, and he borders on smarmy. This is Solange's opinion. He has too much power, too much money, and not that she ever liked him to begin with, but he has now become downright intolerable. So yeah, she loves her sister, but they're complete strangers. There is no love lost between her and Jay, and her father is a fucking cockroach who can burn in hell for all she cares. And that is all she wanted to say about that. That's what I have for you on Solange Knowles. Any questions, please do let me know down below. The next person I was asked to look into is an actress by the name of Ellen Page, who now refers to herself as Elliot Page and is in the process of transitioning. So let's see what Ellen/Elliot Page wanted to share with me. Ellen/Elliot has had body dysmorphia for as long as she could remember. She never ever felt at home in her body. Never ever felt peace. We're going on 3 hours. Butterfinger mouth is going to start to happen here. She never felt peace with being a woman and is grateful every day for the trans movement and it being as popular as it is, and that there is hope for people like him. This is where, as soon as Elliot started to talk about transitioning, he started to actually refer to himself as him and not as she. There are services to help people navigate their new identity and a host of non-judgmental doctors that are that helped him become Elliot, and they are incredibly proud of their work. And every day, little by little, it's beginning to help. As the softness of his female body begins to leave him, and he feels safer and safer. He feels more capable, more able-bodied. As a woman, he felt so vulnerable, but he feels a newfound strength as a man, and it is incredibly comforting to him. He is finally beginning to feel at home in his body and is grateful for all the support he has received along the way. That is what I have for you on Ellen and Elliot Page. Any questions, please do let me know down below. This next one is hot and spicy. Oh my fucking God. I was asked to look into an actor by the name of Henry Cavill. Please come to me, I'm manifesting him. Henry Cavill and his new girlfriend, a woman by the name of Natalie Viscuso. And I was asked to look into them and to see if they are in fact a real couple. This is what was shown to me about them. Natalie and Henry have a serious and spicy chemistry. Yes, I'm sorry. They are in fact a real couple, and yes, they do lots and lots of what actual couples do. Henry, is incredibly into her. Her mind, her sense of humor, her raunchy mouth. She says things that delight him without her even realizing it, and he thinks this is the making of a relationship that is built to last. Their sexual chemistry is off the charts, and actually, as an energy reader, it felt a little invasive to be in their energy because of it. But they are in fact a very real couple, and they are very real into one another as well. He is into her a little bit more than she is into him, believe it or not. I don't know how that's fucking possible, but there we go. But she's not using him for his fame or anything like that. She's just not sure if this is her forever guy or her just right now guy. But she's perfectly content being with him right now. And Natalie, when you are done with him, please send him my way. Because he's tasty. That's what I have for you on tasty Henry Cavill and Natalie Viscuso. Any questions, please do let me know down below. The next one, incredibly short. I give it to you anyway. I was asked to look into the singer by the name of Seal. He asked me to please refrain from reading his energy, but is flattered that anybody wanted to know about him. Okay. These next two are long. I was asked to look into the energy of an actress by the name of Lara Flynn Boyle. And after I had concluded looking into her, I actually looked into the energy on Jack Nicholson. And I was kind of actually debating giving them their own video because there's a lot that came in. Actually, I might do that. I might skip ahead. Let me do that. I'm going to do that. I want to, because if I spend too much time on them, there's so many other topics I'm not sure I'm actually going to get into. So what I'm going to do is we're going to pause them for the time being, and if we have time, we're going to come back to them, okay? Because they can get their own video. They probably will at this point. So let me skip ahead. Okay. The next energies person I was asked to look into is an actor by the name of Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro said that everyone in Hollywood are sycophants, but also says he is no better than them. He has rubbed elbows with them too long and bought into the bullshit too long, and it may in fact be time for him to admit that he's one of them. He's always liked the attention that he received as an actor, and now he likes the attention of being known as an older living legend. So sure, some people play him lip service, but it still feels good. And anything else I'd like to know, I can send a request to his PR people, and he will be sure to not have them call me back. That is what I have for you on Robert De Niro. Any questions, please do let me know down below. The next one, again, very fucking short. I was asked to look into the energy of an actress by the name of Penelope Cruz. Penelope Cruz looked at me with disdain and told me to get lost, as I am a disgrace to humanity. I ask her how the blood sucking has been going for her, and she flips me off. So that's the brief exchange I had with Penelope Cruz. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next topic I was asked to look into is a whole bunch of things pertaining to the Super Bowl. So first and foremost, I was asked to look into if a Chiefs fan that had been unalived, was that an accident or foul play? This is what was shown to me. What had happened was a display of someone being influenced by the low vibration of the game and the halftime show. It was an energetically porous person lining up with an equally low vibration to they themselves and following the energetic call to further behave in a low vibe way. It was neither accident nor foul play, but a real-life 3D example of how vibrations intersect and can sometimes have negative consequences. That is what I have for you on that. The next topic is connected to it, and that is, was the Super Bowl halftime shows rituals or entertainment? And I will answer that after I take a moment to hydrate myself. This is also your reminder to hydrate yourself. I know you're thinking, Faye, really? A tiny sip that's called hydrating? Here's the thing, if I hydrate myself too much, I'm gonna have to use the little girl's room. And I'm trying to do this in one take and not stop it and start it and edit it, and so little sips, they count. We're gonna make them count. All right, so Super Bowl halftime shows, rituals or entertainment? This is what was shown to me. Both. They are in fact rituals that are masked as entertainment. But the true purpose of them is in fact that the performers who are performing in them and are most definitely in the club, because they are at the level of performing in the halftime show of the Super Bowl, the intention of it is for them to actually pay their respect and their gratitude at being a performer at that level and doing spell casting. Not only on the live audience that's there for the game, but on the people that are watching it at home too. So yes, of course, there are rituals going on in the show. Not only in the halftime show, in the game, on that specific date that the Super Bowl falls out on, and in that particular location and space. It is all a dog and pony show designed to capture our consciousness and to infuse it with demonic frequency. There is nothing real about who wins, the plays that are played on the field, or who the MVP is. It is, in fact, all prearranged and predetermined, and those that choose to watch it are, in fact, agreeing to be exploited by giving their energy to it. The unaliving of a fan pleased those that be at the top endlessly, as it was evidence that that person had been influenced by the vibes put out into the world. The Super Bowl being one of the most heavily bet on events of the year is no coincidence either, as it pulls people out of alignment to the extent that they gamble on it, and they so willingly play with their own money. It is incredibly commonplace for people to actually bet on it, and not just in Las Vegas. So, unsolicited advice, what was shown to me? The best thing to do with our money is not actually to bet on the game, and a better use of our time and our money would be to take out a loved one to dinner instead, and don't even give our attention to the game. Because the Super Bowl is, if you will, the Matrix displaying their peacock plumage, if you will. And it is on full display for all the world to see and admire, and to reinforce how fake and phony it all is, by the very fact that people tune into it and give power to it by believing it's real. It's no more real than people watching a movie and believing the movie is actually real, while not understanding they are just paid actors playing a part and playing it well, just as the players in the Super Bowl do. That is what I have for you on that. Any questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next topic I was asked to look into is homelessness. So let's see what was revealed to me. Homelessness is a lesson for society, and the souls who are homeless came here to teach us all a valuable lesson about our humanity or our lack thereof. Because it is in fact a truly evolved soul that will sign up to be homeless, as it is one that most likely includes mental health and or drug addiction concurrent with it. It also comes with a lack of dignity and shame, so they have to be evolved to agree to all of it. To being humanity's teachers, especially as they are met with scorn and reproach. But it is important to remember, it is still the soul's journey, and it was still their soul's choice to agree to come back in this lifetime and be homeless. So, does this mean we should not in fact help them? No. That is the part of what they came here to teach us, which is, can we tap into our humanity when faced by those that are unlike us, but clearly still in need? And our response to them says more about us than them. Though it was shown to me that giving them money may not in fact be what they need. Food, yes. Water, yes. Money, no. So the next time we are asked by a homeless person for money, it may in fact be wiser to ask them if they are hungry and to buy them a meal instead. That is what I have for you on homelessness. Any questions, please do let me know down below. The next topic I was asked to look into are people that are living in a state of chronic victimhood. And the question that came along with it is it a disservice to help them? This is what was shown to me. So, what was shown to me is to ask the person who asked me this question, or anybody else that may in fact interact with somebody that is chronically living in a state of victimhood, is this person, not the person who asked the question, not the person who may know somebody that lives in chronic victimhood, but the actual person that lives in chronic victimhood, is that person in fact a narcissist? Because anyone living in a state of chronic victimhood is a narcissistic quality. So they can be a full-fledged narcissist, or they can have very, very strong narcissistic tendencies. But that's one of the questions that are really going on here. Assuming, however, that they are not. And this is someone that was shown to me as needing attention. Or how else can we explain that they have employment and they cannot get anything done? Because that was the question that was asked to me. Somebody works with someone that's like living in chronic victimhood. Is it a disservice not to help this person if it's your coworker? So the question then is, how did this person gain employment if they can't get anything done? Surely some employer somewhere would have noticed their inherent lack of ineptitude. So the real question then becomes, if we as a coworker, do we have any obligation to bail this person out and their apparent ineptitude, or to lavish attention upon them because that's what they themselves need? But I remind you, we peel back the 3D veil here. So all of that is simply addressing the 3D. What about the vibrational component? Because it would in fact be a better use of our time to address what is going on vibrationally with any person that has another person in their life, coworker or otherwise, that is living in a state of chronic victimhood. Where are you, if you know somebody like this, perhaps not so high vibe in your own right that you are being confronted with this? So what was shown to me is to clean up our own vibration, and then this will no longer be an issue to deal with as it resolves itself when we are no longer an energetic match for it. That is what I have for you on chronic victimhood. Please do let me know if you have any additional questions down below. The next topic I was asked to look into is racism part of the spiritual war? Now there's a one-word answer and a very long explanation. The one-word answer is yes. Here's the why. As we ascend and the vibration here on earth begins to ascend, those that wish to keep us in servitude are doing all they can to keep us down, including creating race wars. Because race wars are actually nothing more than a distraction designed to capture our consciousness and keep us focused on low 3D vibrations, such as the color of our skin. And it is completely disregarding what is going on with our souls. Because our souls are colorless and all have the same element or spark of godliness inside. So it's a diversion. Look here, not there. Look only on the exterior, not the interior. Because in actual fact, what's going on inside, we're all the fucking same. We have godliness inside of us. But that is not what is being talked about. So 2020 was the year that was shown to me as being a big tipping point, because that was the year that people began to wake up en masse. Thus, it is no coincidence that every year since then has been one divisive catastrophe after another. all designed to break us up. So 2020, it was George Floyd. It became blacks against whites, police against citizens. After that, we had Russia versus Ukraine. It was Russia versus Ukraine and anyone who supported either of the above. Then most recently, we have had an attack in Israel. So then it became Jews against Hamas. We also always have in the background the issue of gays against straights, or I guess the correct way of saying it would be the straights against the gays, right? Because they're a protected, I guess, minority group. The trans against the transphobic, and on and on and on. And it is all designed to create an illusion of us against them. But this is, again, I remind you, all being done in the corrupt 3D world. Because what it is actually like when we wake up is we would never wish to hurt another soul because all our souls are connected. So hurting another is just like hurting ourselves. But if they continue to remind us just how different we are on the superficial 3D level, on the basis of our skin color, they can keep us apart from one another and they can keep us down and in servitude, which is exactly where they want us. So that is what I have for you on Is Racism Part of the Spiritual War? Any additional questions, please do let me know down below. Now, the next person whose energy I was asked to look into is a singer by the name of Billie Eilish. Creepy. This is what I have for you on Billie. Billie Eilish is under some seriously strong mind control. She is, in fact, like a zombie. What do they say about zombies? They're the living dead. The living unalived. So she is alive, but not alive. Because when I look into her to read her energy, I cannot even find herself in herself. But she is very much alive. It's not like I can't find her because she crossed over. No, because even when a soul has crossed over, I can find them. Because here's the way it works. When someone's on this side, their soul essence is a lot more vibrant. It's akin, if you will, to the light of a torch. When someone's on the other side, I can still pick up their soul's essence, but it's more demure. It's almost like the light of a candle, but I can still pick their soul's essence up. So I can't not pick her up because she's not here, because even if she wasn't here, I'd pick up her soul's essence. I can't pick her soul's essence up because what we are in fact seeing of her is where there's nothing to see, and that's why there was nothing to pick up. There's nothing to her. She was shown to me as being like a shell or a husk, a completely empty vessel, a body, if you will, that doesn't have a soul. But not because she sold it, because even those in the club that have sold their soul, there's still a soul's essence to pick up on. Because anything that comes from God, you can't give away in its entirety. So you can sell it, it still belongs to God. Therefore, as a light worker, I can still pick up on the soul. But here with Billie Eilish, there is nothing here at all. So reading her energy is like being in a white room where the ceiling has been painted white, the walls have been painted white, the floors have been painted white, there's no windows in the room, and thus there is no way to distinguish the walls from the ceilings from the floor. That's the energy of Billie Eilish. She is a completely blank slate that is being used. And she is a blank slate because they erased her. So imagine somebody is going into a house to redecorate it. What do they first do? They take down the pictures. They take down all of the personal effects. And then they paint the walls white. So they took down the pictures, they painted everything white, and they did it to erase her and who she is. There once was a person there, and now there is just an echo. that is what I have for you on Billie Eilish. Any questions, please do let me know down below. The next person whose energy I was asked to look into, this is a shorty, very telling though, is an actress by the name of Susan Sarandon. This is what her energy wanted to share with me. Susan Sarandon has a lot of righteous indignation, but not because she's actually righteous, but in fact because she is just angry. And she's angry because she is privileged, and thus she is out of touch with reality and entitled because of her money and her fame. So she is, if you will, the louder and more obnoxious big sister to Gwyneth Paltrow. These are people who have the luxury to complain, while all the rest of us are just trying to get the fuck by. I found Susan's energy to be grating, not at all the energy of somebody I had a desire to be open myself up to at all, not even to be a conduit, so I chose not to. That is what I have and don't have for you on Susan Sarandon. Any questions, please let me know down below. The next people whose energy I was asked to look into, wow, we might actually have time for me to go back and do Lara Flynn Boyle and Jack Nicholson. This is rather exciting. Okay, let's see if we can do it. The next people I was asked to look into their energy is Charlie and Dixie D'Emilio. They are influencers, and this is what was shown to me about them. After them initially not having time to talk with me because they were so busy influencing, but I kept going back, they agreed to speak with me, but only about their money and their success. They think it is because of them and how wonderful they are. They are not very insightful, and they do not have a lot of depth, and thus were very easy to corrupt with money because of it. This newfound success is also leading to a decay of their own personal integrity, as they have so thoroughly been seduced by money, and in time, they will end up being the ultimate sellouts. So they are, if you will, the worst example of what money can do to a person and how it can corrupt them, because these are people that truly think they are successful because they are in fact better than. So that is what I have for you on Charlie and Dixie. Any questions, please do let me know down below. The next person whose energy I was asked to look into is an actress by the name of Demi Moore. Demi Moore was married to Ashton Kutcher, and before that she was married to Bruce Willis. There we go, Bruce Willis. And let's see what Demi's energy wanted to share with me. It took Demi more years to get over the sting of what Ashton Kutcher had done to her than the amount of time she had been married to Ashton Kutcher. He was supposed to be her toy, her reward for her years of service and devotion to the club. He was supposed to have been vetted and to know his place and to want what she wanted. So she didn't understand how anyone could get it so wrong, how she could get it so wrong. And it all stung so bad. And her life came crumbling down around her, and none of it, just none of it, was supposed to go down that way. And then to think she was this laughingstock for not being able to keep her cuckolded husband too, it was an additional bruising. Oh, do we think she's being dramatic? I personally didn't, but she thought we were. Or she wanted to get out ahead of it, because maybe other people have thought she was being dramatic. But in case we thought we were being dramatic, we cannot possibly imagine what it was like to finally get her dues and her comeuppance, only for it to all come crashing down. And if we think a regular divorce is hard, Try having your personal life plastered across the pages of tabloids. It was horrifying. She heard he was punished, and to that she says, good. He deserved what he got, and even then some. Because whatever it was not nearly enough, because he still got to go on and to remarry and to have a life, while hers circled around the toilet before being flushed away for good. And the industry fucking sucks too for giving him any opportunity to work again, especially on his passion projects. She never thought the industry would do her dirty like that, but age and viability is a factor, and at her age, she is just not seen as a viability any longer. That is what I have for you and Demi Moore. I also in the past have done a very insightful segment in a AMA on Ashton, which is also linked down below. Now, the next person whose energy I was asked to look into is an actress by the name of Margot Robbie, and I actually wrote notes to myself, which I'm going to share with you. 2% personal opinion. I found her energy to be surprisingly boring. Let's see what her energy had chosen to share with me. Margot Robbie has a pretty life indeed. She was promised great things, and at times it was hard to trust and believe, but she did it. She got where she was told she'd go, and now she really is an A-lister. Not that there was much doubt, at least from those around her, because everyone told her she was in good hands, she had the best representation, and they weren't nobodies either. And at every award show, or when she would visit her friends on set, she was reminded the proof was in the role that she had in The Wolf of Wall Street with Leo fucking DiCaprio. Because that was not a nothing role, but a real something kind of a meaty role. But her concern stemmed more from the careers of other Aussies that came before her. Because Nicole Kidman was considered the gold standard in Australia for Australian girls who did good. Naomi Watts even had her day in the sun as well. But Margot didn't want what they had. She wanted to be something more. Because Nicole's success was always too closely tied to her being married to Tom Cruise. So it could always come with did she really earn her success, or was it because she was married to Tom Cruise? So that could have detracted from her own personal achievements. Naomi Watts was known for working with David Lynch, and while one could say Margot's success is tied to the directors she too has worked with, she does take a moment to acknowledge she is better looking than them. And thus, she wants to take over Hollywood. She has not even peaked yet, and that's excited. And already her investors have said they've made back their money on her. Please go back and watch the previous segment I had done on, what's his name? Nicolas Cage, link down below. And she is happy that the older generation has been cleared out, and it has made so much more space and more room for the new generation of girls to come in, her being one of them. She's happy she is not being agendized, as those who own her have bigger plans for her, and she is happy to oblige. That's what I have for you on Margot Robbie. Any questions, please do let me know down below. The next person whose energy I was asked to look into is a singer, and I think he had a reality TV show by the name of RuPaul. Let's see what RuPaul's energy wanted to share with me. RuPaul understands hard work and was never against it. What he did not want, ever, is a handout, because then he would be beholden to someone else. And he would then own a favor to somebody that could collect on it later. Or there could always be an insinuation he had not made it on his own accord, and that would not do. RuPaul was shown to me as having incredible observation skills and had his finger on the pulse, i.e., gifts and abilities, where he is essentially clairvoyant. Plus, he wasn't grating or annoying or terribly unlikable, so he set his sights and pushed. And he was fortunate that what he offered and who he was, a drag queen, also happened to be something that was going to be a thing, because they knew it was going to be a thing, because everything is agendized and mapped out. So they knew it was going to be a thing. So he was right on time, if you will. And he also wanted to share, yes, he knows about the dark side, but he let it be known that he had no knowledge. So in other words, he was saying, I don't see anything. Do what you do, be who you are. I'm a fly on the wall. I cannot speak. He was letting it be known in advance, even though he knew about it. I have no knowledge of these things. And he had no interest in it either. But he was in fact there to work, and work hard, and absolutely nothing more. So you want to bet on the horse that's the sure thing? He was basically saying, bet on me. I'm here to work and work hard and do nothing else. I will speak not ill about anybody. I will see not ill about anybody. I just want to work. And that with him, they would have the real deal and his friends. And it would not be like putting men into drag and calling it a day, because him and his friends were real drag queens. So if they wanted the real deal and to tap into that market, they could have him. So he essentially acted as if he was doing them a favor, and it worked. And he's proud of it, because he was able to achieve something without compromising himself and able to give something back to his friends and his community as well. However, he freely admits there is a cap on the success he can achieve because of it. So his method wasn't perfect, but at least he gets to retain his soul and earn some money and to entertain some people. So all in all, it's a win. And even though nobody asked, I'm going to actually share with you, many years ago, I had been at an event here in LA. It was to promote his show. And I forgot what it was called, but it was basically like, I think, a drag queen competition. So it was to promote this show. And it was at a well-known bar over here in West Hollywood called the Abbey. And I got to see these drag queens that were dressed up. I have to tell you guys, I was mesmerized by them. I thought they were the most beautiful women I had ever seen, but I also understood, of course, they were not women. They were tall. They were statuesque. They would look like the way we look when we put ourselves together on our best absolute day. But they're also, they're wearing all of those things that are sucking them in and giving them the illusion of, these push-up bras and that. And I had actually gone over to one of the women, who's not a woman, but I had said, "You're beautiful," because I was blown away by their beauty. You want to know they're the real deal? This woman, man in drag, put his hand on my hand, and he said, "Oh, honey, it's you ladies that are beautiful, because everything that we learn from watching women." And that blew my mind. So yeah, him and his friends were the real fucking deal. It wasn't like Tom Hanks in Bosom Buddies getting dressed up as a woman and it's all tongue-in-cheek and it's all ha fucking ha ha ha. It's men who love women to the extent that they just want to celebrate women by bringing forth some sense of femininity, but it's all based on things that they had seen in other women. I loved it. I was a believer. So that is what I have for you on RuPaul and his real, genuine friends and what they actually learn from us women. Now, I think I'm going to be overly optimistic in saying that we can do Jack Nicholson. So I know I said no, then I said yes. I think I'm going to have to go back to saying no, because I have one more topic left. And then in addition to this other topic, I have something that spawned from it. So we're going to explore all of that. And again, if we have time, I'll go back and I'll do Jack. Otherwise, I promise he's going to get his own video. So the next topic I was asked to look into is a singer by the name of Dua Lipa. Now, a number of you have actually requested that I look into Dua because it had seemed like at some, I don't know, award show, Dua was coming out with all the symbolism and the gestures and all the reveals as if to say, I'm aligned with Team Darkside. So let's see what Dua's energy wanted to share with me. Dua Lipa has done some shit. Will continue to do some shit, but it's paying off just fine for him. Oh, there's some of us who didn't know. That's just proof of the shit he's done to get to where he is, that we don't know what we don't know. Because it takes an enormous amount of non-attachment to let go of one's ego and one's gender and sexual identity for the sake of the club. But blame it on a sense of obligation, duty, or being raised in the club, and that'll do it. So even though if it seems like Dua is coming out guns a-blazing and saying, I just joined the motherfucking club, no. Dua was born into it. Because here's a secret Dua shared with me. They don't like to transition those that are not born in the club. And by transition, we're not saying a la a Dylan Mulvaney, who is very, very open about being trans. No, not like that. These are the ones that were born, typically it's usually men. They don't ever self-identify as men to the public, and they will adorn their bodies and show themselves as if they are women. So they don't like to transition, not publicly, right? They are being transitioned publicly. They're just not like coming out and saying that that's what they're doing because their actual gender is being obfuscated. But they don't like to do that to those that are not born in the club because their minds are too delicate. One must be multi-generational to do it and to be ready to do it, because it is so deeply ingrained in them that they don't even blink at it and they see it for what it in fact is. In honor to be chosen and to have been identified as being up for it. Did Barbara Bush balk at it? No, of course not. He too was to honor and duty bound. Did Jennifer Garner say no? Not me? No, of course not. And Jennifer, has done pretty good for himself too. So please, don't feel bad for Dua either. He's doing what he was raised for, and it's a supreme honor as well. And no, they don't have to have their genitalia removed. And it's because no one is looking for a penis on a woman. However, the feminization surgery is not always fun. But then the accolades that one receives afterwards, the attention the family receives and the recognition of it being an honor, that's in fact nice for them. And he is happy his family has it. All of it. All the accolades. He's happy for it all and knows he would not be where he is without them. And thus, them giving him a surprisingly normal life despite it all. He said, for anybody that wants to know for next time, if you're looking at a man or a woman, because they're not going to reveal it necessarily, because it's all done with intention. But if you want to know, he said to look at the hands, because hands don't lie. And that is also the reason why those in the club are doing so much symbolism and they're flashing their hands. But they do it even more so because they're putting it in our face. Because how many of those hands flashing the symbolism are not woman's hands, but they're man's hands? We just think they're women's hands. That's why there's so much hand gesturing in the club. They're putting it in our face. They're snubbing it. Ha ha, we're literally putting it in your face and you don't even see it. Because we are so asleep that we don't even see it. So look at the hands, because man hands, once you know, are very hard to hide. That is what I have for you in Dua Lipa. However, after engaging in Dua's energy, it got me thinking about other reveals. And what are the most notable reveals that I could think of off the top of my head in movies? So I compiled a list of the 10, old school, right? You're gonna see, these are old school. But I compiled a list of the 10 movies that to me had the most, there goes another crystal, the 10 most obvious reveals of what's going on in the club that's revealed to us vis-a-vis movies. This is by no means a comprehensive list. This is just what came to me last night as I was meditating. And I was like, I'm gonna go with it. If you guys can think of more notable examples, I encourage you to please comment down below. But these are 10 according to Faye. Here we go. The 10 top movies that reveal or mirror what's going on behind the veil. Okay. Number 1, The Crying Game. This is a movie, I believe, from like the 90s. And the premise of the movie is man meets woman. Man falls in love with woman. Man attempts to sleep with woman, only to discover that the woman is not in fact a woman, but is a man. Or maybe has both sets of genitalia. However, upon discovering that the she is a he, the man decides to stay with the faux woman anyway because love. They were putting it in movies even back then, guys. We just didn't know what to look for. Okay, that was the movie that got me thinking about this in connection to Dua Lipa. And then I was like, you know what? Let me keep going. Number 2, this is a movie that I just recently rewatched, and I rewatched it because I love it. This is a fantastic movie I highly recommend by the name of King Arthur. It was made in 2007, and it was starring Charlie Hunnam. Such a fun, irreverent movie. I loved it, but boy, was it a fucking reveal. So the premise of the movie is, this is King Arthur, before he discovers that he's King Arthur, and then following him after he pulls the sword out of the stone. But what was the reveal of the movie? That, and I'm not going to give too much away because I don't want to give too much away in case you actually want to watch this movie, but there was the bad guy in the film, and what did the bad guy do? The bad guy sacrificed his loved ones for more power. And he didn't just do it once in the movie, he did it more than once because he wanted more and more power. Team Darkseid sacrificing a loved one for more power. That's a reveal, guys. Number 3, every single Indiana Jones movie was shown to me as being incredibly significant. Here are 3 of the movies, because I didn't see the latest one, and some things in them that were shown to me as being reveals. Number 1, Raiders of the Lost Ark. Number 1 reveal in it, ancient Egypt is sacred. And there is a scene in which Indiana and his love interest were taken to a remote area in the desert where they had discovered the Ark of the Covenant that was buried in ancient Egypt. and they were attempting to summon the spirits to gain more power for themselves. What was the other reveal in this movie? Indiana and his love interest were tied up, and the person that was summoning the spirits, that was actually a Third Reich soldier, and the Third Reich soldiers, they were all confronted by the summoned spirits, who looked into their face and looked into their eyes, and then what would happen to them is they were burned up. This is an actual representation of what happens to the beings on the astral realm when they are confronted with positive energy. This was just shown in the reverse. That these soldiers were not a compatible energy with the spirit that was summoned, and therefore the spirit that was summoned burned them up because they were not actual energetic alignment. Second Indiana Jones movie, The Temple of Doom. What happened in that movie? Human sacrifices, because sacrifice is real. Brains are a delicacy, because there's a scene where monkey brains were eaten. But not only the monkey kind are considered to be a delicacy. Use your own noggin to figure out what noggin I'm referencing. Because there was a reveal, honorable mention, in this list that was based on a book called Hannibal Lecter, right? What did Hannibal Lecter like to do? He liked to eat brains, but not the monkey variety. Reveal, y'all, reveal. The third Indiana Jones movie was called The Last Crusade, and in that film, there was a reveal of the Keepers of Time. I have discussed this. It's a members exclusive video. Guys, I highly recommend joining my membership. Shameless plug. But that there are Keepers of Time that do not age, and they stay in one notable location. Because Indiana Jones and his father went to a notable location and there was a keeper of time, and that it is also possible to drink actual holy water, not the kind that's in your church, but actual holy water, and you can be healed or achieve longevity with it. Also real. Number 4, the Superman movie. However, not in the way that you might think. What's the premise of Superman? There's a young boy, and he comes from another planet, and he is sent here, and he has not magic, but he has like abilities. He can fly, he can point like laser beamy things from his eyes, and he can melt things, and he can blow steam. I don't know. It's been a long time since I've seen them. But basically, Superman. However, the reveal here is a little bit different. There are those of us that are not from here and have different skill sets, and we are also here to help humanity. However, we do not wear capes. We are called starseeds, and our kryptonite is in fact not physical kryptonite, but it is being seduced by the 3D and not waking up to our true meaning and purpose. Reveal number 4. Number 5, The Hunger Games. A classic tale of the haves and the have-nots. And the have-nots are being used as entertainment for the haves. Because what do we know about the Hunger Games? There's 13 distinct districts, and every year they pull names randomly to see who's going to go compete in the Hunger Games. And the Hunger Games is comprised of children from every district, 2 from each district, so it's 26 kids. They all basically have to unalive each other until one is left alive. And then the one that's left alive, they get to live on and have some sort of a life after. Imagine the torture, if this was like a real thing, of carrying that around with you and knowing that you had to be cunning and you had to unalive other people's children so you yourself could stay alive. It's horrifying. But what's more horrifying is that they are in fact being used as entertainment for the haves. And more so, the capital in the Hunger Games, i.e. Hollywood. Because this is where the haves, dressed absurdly and over the top, which is in our world the Met Gala, and they eat obscene amounts of food, sometimes even forcing themselves to throw up so they can continue to consume more, while those in the districts are starving and wear rags. Is it life imitating art, or is it art imitating life? How the fuck can we as a society in good consciousness have people getting dressed up obscenely to show how fabulous and fantastic they are when there are literally people in this country that are living in the streets and starving, and they do wear rags? Make it make sense. Reveal! Number 6, one of the biggest of all, The Matrix. No list is complete without The Matrix. Here's why. What's the premise of the movie? There is a big ass machine that is siphoning the life force energy off of anything. And nothing is in fact real, but is a mental simulation for the slaves that are having their life force siphoned off of them. In our world, however, while we do not necessarily have something hooked up to our neck, siphoning our life force energy off of us, we are slaves because of taxes, dead-end 9-to-5 jobs, working just to survive, while our life force energy is in fact sucked out of us through traumatic world events that create loosh. And is the world a simulation? There's a veil, and that's the simulation. And then there's what's going on behind the veil, and that's what's actually real. Number 7, the devil's advocate. In this movie, the devil, played by Al Pacino, tries to corrupt an upright attorney while his wife, the upright attorney's wife, could see all of his new co-workers as the hideous demonic beings that they actually are. While she sees this, she thinks she is going crazy, but it's because she is only really seeing the truth. And does the devil actually try to corrupt us? You bet the fuck he does. You want to learn more about that? I have an incredible video on Satan, members exclusive, shameless plug. Guys, we made it almost to the end of the video. I'm entitled. I can put some shameless plugs in there. We made it to the end of the video. I'm going to do some shameless plugs. I have an incredible members video on Satan. I go into so much detail on this. Number 8, Dracula, which I understand, yes, it does come from a book. So Dracula or any vampire movie. So a blood-sucking vampire sucks the life force energy out of people. Do I really need to expand on this? Do I? If I do, let me know. I think you know where I'm going with this. If not, let me know. Number 9, a movie by the name of Wag the Dog. The premise is a president is involved in a scandal and he devises a fake war to distract the masses and to boost his ratings once more. Literally what the cabal does. Number 10. No list is also complete without Rosemary's Baby. The premise of Rosemary's Baby is a woman gives birth to Satan's spawn. In our reality, Satan's spawns is the 13 bloodline families. And if you want to learn more about that, guess the fuck what? I got a video on that too. It's a members exclusive. You want more information? Look right down below into the description box. There is a link to join my membership. And that, my friends, concludes our latest AMA. I hope you have enjoyed it. I hope you have found it to be insightful, maybe thought-provoking. If you are a member of the Matrix Police, I hope you have your homework cut out for you. And as always, and until next time, I remind you to stay in the high vibration and every moment in between. Peace out, and I love you.